it felt with the shackles on or the handbrake half up in the critical moments, in the biggest moments for England in these big games. And so with that comes kind of apprehension and a bit of anxiousness when you're watching those games, right? And Benty, you've been in them England squads, yeah? Mm. A lot of the guys in them teams and as a unit, as a team, as well as individuals, we were scared to lose games.
Sport.
1 minute past one. Good afternoon. Here are your sports headlines. Premier League champions Arsenal will start their title defence at home to promoted Coventry. Live on talkSPORT on Friday, August the 21st. It's a talkSPORT exclusive, and Darren Bent, the Arsenal fan, says it's a great opening day experience.
I'd like a few whipping boys at the start to get your confidence in, get a few goals.
Yeah.
But for Arsenal, their fixture, they'd look at that and go, yeah, it's a great fixture. But for Coventry, as you said there, that's what you wait for.
Xabi Alonso's first game in charge of Chelsea is the West London derby at Fulham. There's a full list, of course, on talksport.com. At the World Cup, Scotland can reach the knockouts tonight by beating Morocco. Live on talkSPORT. The Tartan Army, of course, are making friends in Boston.
It's absolutely sensational. I mean, you just look around. There's thousands have come across here.
It's so cool. I went to Scotland a couple of years ago and absolutely loved it. So, to have the culture come here is really, really awesome.
The Americans have been just absolutely wonderful with us.
Kickoffs 11 p.m. our time. Meanwhile, in the lead up to the game, Morocco's preparations may have been affected by confirmation from French prosecutors that Captain Achraf Hakimi will stand trial for rape. Hakimi is still set to lead out his team tonight. Elsewhere in the WSL, legendary Lioness Mary Earps has signed for London City Lionesses, and Ben Stokes is bowling for Durham at Chesterless Street against Northants today, while England battle away without him at the Oval with their backs against the wall. Here's Sam Allard at lunch on day 3.
Yeah, lunch on day 3. England bowled out for 291. A 53-run partnership for the last wicket. So important for England. Well played, Matt Fisher. A second test match for England. He passes 50, finishes unbeaten on 50. His first ever test match half-century. Matt Henry with a 5-wicket haul after England lost 3 quick wickets early on day 3. So from 238 for 9, England did well to get up to 291 runs. But so much work to do for England when they come back out in half an hour's time with ball in hand. Bowled out for 291. They trail New Zealand by 100 runs.
Good conditions for batting as well. For overseas listeners, there's live commentary ball by ball of that second test on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
A 67-year-old woman has been jailed for the manslaughter of her stepdaughter, who she forced into a scalding bath 50 years ago. And Andy Burnham's promising to lay out a new path for Britain after winning the Makerfield by-election. There's more with Emma at 1:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got a wider range of premium tyres than Britain has rainy days. Visit your local centre or book at quickfit.com today.
There's rain across the northwest, edging slowly southeast, drier elsewhere with sunny spells. It's hot and dry in the southeast.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is how to win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Good afternoon, UK, and good morning from New York. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. So a huge night ahead in Group C as Scotland aim for the round of 32. Do they go in against Morocco more in hope, though, than expectation? Meanwhile, upon the fixture release, could this be the most unpredictable Premier League season yet? Two top-flight managers, Fabian Hürzeler and David Moyes, will be joining us live on the show. Also today, will Newcastle always play second fiddle in the transfer market? Spot fixing, does it remain innocent until proven guilty? How do you strike the balance between the football and the media? And Ben Stokes to return as captain next week. What would that represent? It's Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Hi everybody, Friday morning, Friday afternoon where you are, 5 minutes past 1 in the UK. Good afternoon to you all, and here we go again. Jim White and Simon Jordan. Good morning to Grant, who I met in the financial district yesterday. And Grant, I said I'd give you a mention. You're over from England, you're living in New York, huge fan of Simon's, big fan of the show. Grant, good morning to you. We had a nice old chat. And now we do it again. But 2 becomes 3, because I'm delighted to tell you, a man that when he was at Crystal Palace, Simon Jordan tried to sign, reportedly, but he said no thanks and had a fabulous career instead. I'm delighted to tell you that former West Ham Villa midfielder and CBS pundit Nigel Reo-Coker, a Croydon boy just like Jordan himself, joins us live in the show. Nigel, good morning to you.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Pleasure to be here, joining another one of South London's finest, two South London's finest right here.
Brilliant. It's great to see you. I'm loving the hat, incidentally, mate. Where do we get one of them?
I got this actually when I was living in Vancouver. Goring Bros, it's a hat company. It matches my time now away from football. Lovely cigar and cognac.
Is it Panama?
It is, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Nigel, before I go any further, what is really funny is that, Simon, you're going to meet some friends, apparently he has some, on Rhode Island, and you were going up by Amtrak, the train, and I'm delighted to say, Nigel, his train's been cancelled. So what are you going to do later? This is funny.
Well, there's an alternative. I can spend the weekend with you, or I can walk to Rhode Island. So I'm walking.
I'm just surprised that Simon Jordan is riding Amtrak. I just thought there would be a helicopter on the roof.
Cool. I like riding
Amtrak. You could get a helicopter on the roof, and then off you go to Rhode Island. Simon Jordan.
Nigel,
is that a humble Simon Jordan? Riding the train?
Listen,
I like trains.
Here's the thing, Croydon boy or not, you've come good out here, have you not? Life in America, you loving it?
Yeah, it's great. My wife's American, got 4 kids. They're all born in Florida, and now we're living in New York. My wife's originally from New York. Different to England, different culture in how things are done here. But yeah, kids are happy, and I'm happy.
It's great, and you have done it already. You're enjoying the media. And to be fair to you, Nigel, without swelling your head at this early stage in the show, you're a regular with CBS. Everybody knows you around here. I was talking to the people down in the ground floor when I came into the World Trade Center. I was mentioning you were coming. I know him said this, like, you're making strides over here.
No, I'm trying. I'm enjoying it. My head can't be as swelled as Simon's. It can never get to that level. But
well, Troy seems to think your head's pretty swelled.
Oh yeah, all right. Troy's still learning the ropes. I've had to hold his hand since he's moved over here to show him the ropes of American culture. He's learning well.
What are the traits of a Croydon boy? Because you're proud of your roots, and quite rightly, Simon.
Yeah, I couldn't get away from Croydon fast enough, but it is.
That was a decent try by me. Sorry, Croydon.
There's different parts of Croydon. The last time I went to Croydon, I got held up at gunpoint, so it doesn't hold.
Oh man,
remember?
That's right.
It doesn't particularly hold fond memories for me. But listen, growing up there, it had some very nice parts of it. We went to schools that weren't too far away from one another. Obviously, I'm a bit older than he is, but he went to a school called Riddlesdown. I went to a school called Pearly Boys, so they wasn't too far away. It has wonderful parts of Croydon. There's a stockbroker belt in South Croydon, in Sanderstead, and those sort of places, in Selsdon. And then you've got West Croydon, which is a dump, right?
Yeah, it's been like that.
Oh, lovely.
It's funny.
Good morning to everybody in West Croydon.
It is.
I would have to say, from Riddlesdown, I always say I'm the second most famous person from Riddlesdown, because you've got Kate Moss, then you've got Nigel Reo-Coker.
Oh, yes, of course, Kate.
And then you've got Kieran Gibbs, but I'm the second most famous person. I'm sure Simon's probably the most famous person from his school.
Oh, undoubtedly.
He will not be arguing with anyone there.
He's bound to be. Just ask him. Now, here is the thing. Did you try and sign Nigel, and did you fail in the process?
Absolutely. Very good player. Very good young player. 2 of them, him and Mikel Ledgerwood, sat in my office, I think, and Charles Koppel, who was the Wimbledon chairman, who's a good mate of mine. Wimbledon was in great difficulty at the time because I was booting them out of Selhurst Park because I was about fed up with them, and they were also running into financial problems, and they were going off to be MK Dons.
Yep.
And so I wanted both the players. In all fairness to Mikel, I wanted Nigel more, but he didn't want to come. And his agent I got on quite well with, which is a rarity.
Oh, did you?
But he felt, Nigel, for circumstances best known to himself, felt that West Ham was a better circumstance until,
That's
of
not
course,
true.
he went to West Ham and got beat in the playoff final by us.
So why did you snub Simon?
I didn't snub Simon.
Which I actually find funny.
I did not snub Simon because this was a very younger Simon Jordan, still the same personality, big character, and again, it goes back to South London, something in the water. I actually wanted to sign for him. I like Simon's personality, and I thought, you know what, this is someone I can actually work with, how he was so engaged as a chairman and an owner of a football club with the players and the manager who's really emotionally involved in it. So I wanted to go there, but it never worked out. The deal never really happened. It wasn't that I wanted to go to West Ham. West Ham came after that. But I did hear the comment in the final when they beat us in the playoff final that he went to Mikel and said, I wonder how Nigel's feeling right now. So he loves to have a little dig. He always has to have a dig in the end.
You can't resist, can you?
You would have done the same.
But you had a great career. West Ham, Villa, these are two great clubs in England. We'll get to West Ham shortly because, Nigel, we know what's happened to them. Here's the thing, and I didn't really want to bring it up, but I'll bring it up. Nigel, the last time we heard your voice in our show, do you remember?
I remember very well.
Nigel Reo-Coker from the United States was sending us a ringing endorsement of Wilfried Nancy, who, as we know, went to Celtic, joined up as head coach, and after 33 days in charge, got binned. It didn't work out, mate, in spite of you telling me, watch this guy go.
It didn't work out, but I will stick by initially at this time. He was a good coach. I don't understand why some people get in different situations and scenarios and feel that they have to change and be brand new. You can't be stubborn. In the modern game of being a manager, anyone with any common sense, whether you want to be a manager or a coach, understands that you have to be flexible, you have to be versatile. You can't go in, and especially I don't think he realised the magnitude of what it meant to manage a club like Celtic. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes. I think he was very naive in the sense of, regardless of all the conversations he had, to get to a club like Celtic and not understand what it means to manage that club and try and be stubborn in your patterns of play and style of play.
Yeah.
It was never going to work. To implement a style of play and a pattern of play, it takes time. It takes pre-season. It takes that foundation to build with your players for them to understand what your principles are of a manager, what their roles and jobs and requirements are. But to go in halfway through the season and try and do that, you're always going to be in a losing battle.
You think, Nigel, that he wasn't giving you enough time? I mean, he had 6 losses in 8 matches.
He was given enough time. He was given enough time. He was naive in his thinking. At that time there, you've got to change your mindset as a manager to say, I need to get results. It's a results business. It's a football club that demands results and not so much in the style of play. I grew up in a generation when it was about winning. Winning was all everyone talked about. You grow up as a youngster, you want to win, you want to win. There's many ways to win a football match, but it's all about winning. He was very stubborn in his thinking and his approach, and that was his downfall. And I think that he had enough time and he could have changed it.
Has he got another job?
Not at the moment, no. Not to my knowledge, no. Maybe Simon might hire him.
Well, we watched, and Nigel watched from distance.
Yeah.
And he virtually imploded, didn't he?
Well, look, my position was there was nothing about his credentials in the MLS, not because he can't coach, but because the MLS is a mile away.
Yeah.
A mile away, even from Scottish football, and Scottish football's poor. And I've spent a lot of time looking at the MLS. The standard is miles off.
I get that, but Celtic are huge.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
So there's no translation. And so the idea that, and he will know this as a player, it doesn't matter what his credentials are. I can imagine an MLS coach walking into the dressing room at Wimbledon and West Ham and delivering the spiel that Wilfried Nancy would have delivered and watching these players go, I don't think so. And so that's why from the get-go there was nothing about his credentials that said to me he was going to translate.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want managers to ever fail. But my outset was I can't see this working. Now, if you're an idealist, then you're a fool, because that doesn't make you a wise manager. It doesn't make you a wise human being. You deal with a situation as you find it, and then what you do is you finesse and you change and you erode other people's thinkings and turn it around into yours. And you do it over a period of time. That's what sensible, experienced, well-heeled managers deliver. Now, what he's going to learn, and it's a great lesson for him, it's a brutal one for him, he will learn much more from this lesson than he'll ever have learnt of hanging on into for the season at Celtic, maybe getting a modicum of success. This is a real smack in the face. It'll wake him up. It'll take him into the real world of professional football, not the MLS, where relegation doesn't come into play and there's not the same sort of consequences. And the expectations, despite the fact the fans want to see their team win, are not the same as European football.
Yeah. And now, Nigel, your former Villa manager, Martin O'Neill, has worked wonders since his return. He won the double. I mean, you must be thrilled for him.
I'm thrilled for him. I'm not surprised. You know, I worked with mine at Aston Villa. Once or twice we didn't see eye to eye, but I know what he's about. I know the type of manager he is. And I think what's great as well is he's got the likes of Sean Maloney, who I played with, as part of his coaching staff. And I think that's something that's going to benefit him really well. You talk about the generation change. We've all seen it. Got friends in the game who talk about this generation compared to our generation and the mindset of the young players and what they do and how they interact in the dressing room. It's always important to have someone close to that age to be that buffer between the manager and the younger generation, so they can kind of help the manager to understand the younger generation, and then the players feel closer to someone close to their age to make it work in unison.
Nigel, wonderful. We're getting so much from you, and we've only just started this Friday morning. Friday afternoon back in the UK, it's 1:15. So Nigel's going to be with us for, Luke, the next couple of hours, right? Plenty others joining us along the way. Fabian Hürzeler, the Brighton boss, will join us live. He's been inside the Brazil camp. David Moyes, Everton manager, will join us live. And of course, the Premier League fixtures have just been announced. We'll hear from Moisey on that. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Nigel Rio-Coker, and we're live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation.
Now, earlier in the show, we asked the all-important question. Who was faster in their pomp? Kyle Walker or Gabby Agbonlahor? Well, talkSPORT's Anil Kandala was at the talkSPORT fan zone at Villa Park last night for England against Croatia, and he put that question to some of the fans in attendance.
It's a tough call, but I'd go for Gabby. He was awesome, and no defender wants anybody with that pace running at them. So I'd go for Gabby. I would.
Quicker than Kyle Walker?
I think so. Yeah, I do. And I'm sure Gabby would agree with me.
Gabby. Well, he used to dart across the field, didn't he? I think he's better than Kyle, to be honest.
Well, we had Kyle on loan for us for many years ago, and he was quick, but Gabby was quicker.
And there you go. It might be a little bit unfair because Gabby Agbonlahor is in that building behind me, but it seems that Gabby's got the vote.
Right,
yeah. The rest of the world.
He actually spoke to about 100 people who were there, but we already decided the show's free, okay?
I clipped that up for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? When I think about Kyle, when I go back to that game, Kyle, of like, I think it might have been Germany at Wembley, and you was right side of the free, but like you was all the way in the right back position, and I was at the game, mate, and you come sprinting across, mate. Someone was through on goal. I can't remember who it was. It was Muller, yeah. I'm like, where has this guy come from? And you've done that for the last 15, 16 years, mate. Your centre-half pairings with England and Manchester City must have been looking at you thinking like, okay, maybe I can leave a bit of space in behind, because you would always just come out of nowhere and cover.
Yeah, I think that was what my game was based on. You know, I probably didn't create that much going forward with assists and stuff. I chipped in with a few, but not as much as probably what I should have done. So my main game when I got a little bit older was to make sure I can cover the back.
Incredible.
Here's a great suggestion. Jill's a regular contributor.
Hello, I'm Matt Fordham from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Good morning from New York. Good afternoon to everybody back home. 1:20 on a Friday afternoon with you guys back home in the UK. So the fixtures are out, and we now know on the first day going forward who plays who. And talkSPORT offering 120 live commentaries on Monday and Friday nights, Saturday 12:30, 8 o'clock in the evening across talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2, and the talkSPORT app. You will not miss a trick across the talkSPORT network. It all gets underway. Day one, some mouth-watering fixtures. Hull City, the new boys, host Manchester United live on talkSPORT. Looking forward to that one. Manchester City begin life without Pep at home to Bournemouth Sunday, August the 23rd. Liverpool's first match under Andoni Iraola is away at Newcastle, and Chelsea start life under Xabi Alonso away at Fulham. As for newly promoted Coventry City, they'll travel, good luck, to champions Arsenal in the first match of the new season, live and exclusive on talkSPORT. And earlier, H&J had a word with Coventry owner Doug King. Said, Arsenal, day one, how do you fancy that?
Listen, we haven't been here for 6 years, have we? So anything would have done for us. But what a start at the capital, at the champions. I love that. Champions against the champions, and we'll kick it off, and we'll be glad to do so. I think we've got to go into every game that we have next year believing we have a chance. We know how difficult it'll be there. We know how they play. We know how good they are. What a start. We played Hull first home game in the championship winning season, so our fans are probably thinking, "Wow, we weren't expecting that." But look, they'll strengthen and get ready for us. No game will be easy, and then obviously to have straight out of the Emirates into the Etihad, that's straight into the Premier League, right? So listen, I had all the gang here today, all the club listening to the announcements. It went a little bit quiet as they sort of looked at those first two away games, but they came out of it full of beans and ready to attack it and feel excited about it.
Coventry City owner Doug King, we like him. So Coventry, Hull, Ipswich, all up to where it matters in the Premier League. Not that it doesn't matter in the Championship. That's a brutal division, that. Nigel Reo-Coker alongside Simon. Nigel, what do you think, looking at it from distance as you do over here, could this be the most unpredictable season yet in the Premier League?
I believe so, yeah. I think obviously Arsenal won the Premier League title, and a lot of people didn't think it was beautiful the way that they did. But again, I'm about winning. You've got to give them credit. They've done it. Mikel Arteta needed to get a result this last year, and he did. Won the Premier League title. I think with all the managerial, with all the managerial changes we're going to see and what's happening right, I think it'll be very unpredictable. And I don't really like to predict so early on, because I think that you still got to wait to see what clubs do when it comes to recruiting. Recruiting for me plays a big part in what players go to these clubs, and to see by the window closing where they'll be competing in the season.
You'd assume that there's an opportunity for Arsenal to really fill the vacuum themselves, because they've got stability. They, I suspect, will kick on and strengthen even more, which is often the case when you're in a position of strength. Whereas the other clubs have flux, they have change. So Arsenal could really, I don't want it. I don't want domination from any team. I didn't want it from Man City. I didn't want it in the past from Liverpool back in the 70s and 80s, and you didn't want it from Manchester United. But Arsenal really are the ones that should really grab the nettle now and push on, shouldn't they? Because they're in a position of solidity, continuity, and building from strength. Whereas Liverpool changing, Chelsea changing, Man United got a manager that's all right for when he's managing someone else's problems, but got a whole new set of ball games managing his own. Do you think that's likely to be the case? If you were tipping your hat to something, would you tip it to Arsenal going on another season's opportunity?
You would tip it to Arsenal, but again, for me, I think the performances. I don't think if they can go another Premier League to win in the manner that they did last year, with obviously things not going right for Manchester City, where they were nearly back in it. You know, the line from Nico O'Reilly, we smell blood. I think Manchester City will be stronger. I know Arsenal been linked with Bradley Barcola, who I was a big fan of, and he's a special talent, and I think he'll be great to come in.
Do you think City will be stronger given the fact that he's gone? I mean, Maresca is not even a poor man's imitation of Guardiola. You know, this is a big transition. Do you think, as a player, Guardiola goes out the door, legendary manager that captivates your attention, someone that some of them might know comes back in the door, but he's not the same. Do you think that might play into a real challenge for City, or do you think it's an opportunity?
I think it's an opportunity for City. I think they've got the players. When you look at the quality of the players and Guehi coming in, I think they've still got enough of the players to challenge. And what's the thing about Guardiola, what he's done at Manchester City is he's built a winning mentality. We talk about culture all the time. The winning mentality and culture is there. They've got players who've won multiple Premier League titles. They know what it takes. They're still hungry to want to win and to succeed. So it's a really good opportunity for them to kick on again this year. I feel that the quality's there. You've got the striker, you've got the goalkeeper, you've got a good spine, whether Rodri goes or not, but there's enough there for me at Manchester City. And I think for me, Ryan Cherki will be a key player for them next season.
Yeah, love him.
I'm a big fan of him. Fan of him, not just his ability, but the personality.
Before we left the UK, I bumped into Maresca, coincidentally had a coffee with him. Interesting man, very interesting guy. I know, and I look at you, you've got your reservations, Simon, for various reasons. But regards what he has got to do, Nigel, is Pep the easiest or the hardest act to follow?
The hardest act to follow. It's what he's done in the game of football and how he's transformed Manchester City. Because you talk about, I remember Manchester City when it was feed the goat and he'll score. The Sean Goater days. Right. And now you're talking about Manchester City, a worldwide force, you know, record of 4 consecutive Premier League titles, the style of play, everything that they've done, and they've taken it on a global level to become a brand now. So to follow that as Maresca, it's a real tough job. You know, he has to get all the players on site. And then again, the reality of football is you've got to think from a player's perspective. Some of these players now, are they thinking they really want to be part of this anymore? Yeah. Or are they thinking from their own selfish perspective of, maybe I need a new challenge now? It's not that they can't do it, but maybe it's because Pep's not there now. They don't know how Maresca's going to be. How is he going to manage the group? How is he going to even keep them hungry for success? That's one thing.
Simon, you might have noticed our friend Achune Elikali at Hull. They're now attempting to avoid being hit with a 6-point deduction in the Premier League. The club has to sell players before the end of the month to avoid punishment. You'll be aware of this, Nigel, after overspending regards PSR. And I know you're always saying, and you're quite right to say, this has got to change. Achune admitted that Hull will have to part way with some of the players, but he says this is a manageable situation.
Yeah, but it's not a case...
And they've only just come up.
But he's not going to not buy players. Don't get caught into the idea that he's got to get rid of players to be able to buy players. They've got to balance the book. So he's going to sell some players, bring some new players in, and the new players that come in will be capitalised on his balance sheet. So he can go spend 100 million quid, but he's got to spend it after he's reconciled this situation of... I mean, to be honest with you, it might quite suit them, because it makes a case for actually selling players within the confines of the squad, saying, well, you know what, I know you got us up, and I know these players are part of the fabric, but we have to make changes because of this. What is dreadful, and it is an absolute ridiculous situation, how can you ask teams to come up from the Championship and then penalise them for... You're only allowed to carry £39 million of losses over 3 seasons. In the Premier League, you're allowed to carry 105. So you come up to the Premier League with a massive disadvantage, which is basically you don't have the quality of players, and you go against teams that are established in the Premier League or know their way around it. And on top of that, what you then do is you carry a legacy of the lesser opportunity you've got in the Championship, and you get penalised in the Premier League. If you want to penalise Hull City, then put a suspended points sanction on them for breaching the rules in the Football League. So if in the future they drop back down to the Football League, they carry a 3-point penalty. Don't put them in the top league and go, by the way, we're going to handicap you already even more than you did. They did it to Nottingham Forest. And Marinakis paid his way through it before points become prevalent. So it's appalling. But Achune's very adept. They'll find their way through it.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. I see you nodding to everything Simon's saying.
No, I agree with Simon. I think for me that's just common sense. That's what it is. You want the teams to be competitive that come to the Premier League. And I say common sense, and the common sense isn't so common anymore in the world that we're living. But I think that really does make sense. Give them an opportunity to fight, to compete in the Premier League, and if that was done in the Championship, then let them be punished if they do go back into the Championship.
Sure. We are half an hour in, so much to get into, and Nigel here with us in studio in New York this morning. So the Premier League fixtures are out, that we know, but that doesn't involve Nigel's former club, West Ham United. So what really did go wrong there? We'll get into that next. It's 1:30 with you back home in the UK, 8:30 in the morning. Another early start for us. We're live in New York.
You mentioned Perisic. They've got players in their side. Modric, you know, they're the wrong side of 35, right? These players have been in their team for a long, long time. And we're not struggling, but the first 45, I'm watching it thinking, how is this happening again?
But also, you've got to think, right? I get what you're saying, but also, there's going to be a few nerves kicking about.
Yeah.
Right? These guys, as you said there, have been around for such a long time, so they just understand, they're comfortable where they are. Modric, Perisic, these guys, they just know what it takes to get to that, to get to that level. But it's. I think there's a lot of boxes that Thomas Tuchel would have ticked. I thought the team selection he got wrong. But in my personal,
who do you get wrong?
I would have started Rashford.
Yeah, me too.
And Mark Gahey has to play. He has to play.
Talk about what you're saying outside about the balance of the centre halves.
Because John Stones, he naturally plays on the right hand side, right? And it's Maguire that usually plays on the left when it was those two. When you move John Stones out to the left, naturally he doesn't go that way to Nico O'Reilly, which is why he barely touched the ball. He couldn't go that way.
And Anthony Gordon hardly received the ball in the first
Exactly.
half.
Mark Gahey naturally plays on the left side, so he's used to receiving the ball from the right hand side and going out to the left. But that just wasn't there, which is why we hardly saw anything down that left hand side. But yeah, I would have started Mark Gahey and I would have started Rashford for sure. They would have been my first two on the not on the team sheet, but they're the two that I would have started.
So you would have started with Rashford on the left. What about the other side? Would you have started with Noni?
Yeah, probably, because Saka, I'm not sure. I don't know how fit Saka is.
Okay, looked good when he come on though.
Really good. Looked like hungry.
Yeah,
but that's a good problem you've got. But at the end of the day, the quality shone through second half. Even though there were moments towards the end of the second half before Rashford scored, I was thinking, oh my goodness, they're on top again. They're starting to move the ball. They're getting into their rhythm. Their substitutions made a big difference. But then Rashford comes on and just does what he does.
Yeah,
the sharp turn, the finish.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a problem that first 45 were a bit whiffy because you look at France. I was just about to say, look at France. I mean, they had a rocket up their backside. They're a completely different side in the second half.
I told you about him, didn't I? I said, how often do I sit you
his name down? He's going to be a player.
I told you that, Mbappe.
Yeah.
World Cups, he's different.
We were talking on yesterday's show actually about after that night where Haaland.
Arsenal start their Premier League defence at home to promoted Coventry. It's live on talkSPORT on Friday, the 21st of August. And talkSPORT's Darren Bent calls it a dream tie for both sides.
For Coventry, it's an incredible opening day fixture for them. But they know it's going to be difficult. But listen, Frank's done a fantastic job there. So he'll have them set up ready to go. But you'd expect Arsenal to win that.
Xabi Alonso's first game in charge of Chelsea is the West London derby at Fulham. There's a full list at talksport.com. We're told Man City are closing in on signing England's Elliot Anderson. At the World Cup, Iran are complaining to FIFA about their travel restrictions. They're having to fly into America from Mexico on match days as Iran's conflict with the USA rumbles on. Now, Harry Kane's told England's Lions Den podcast he wants Wonderwall to be the soundtrack to England's summer, following that sing-along with fans after the Croatia game.
We know how much it means to them. I think they see how much it means to us. We have that connection right now. But just that moment, singing Wonderwall in the stadium, everyone knew the words, and that was a really special moment, I thought.
England play Ghana live on talkSPORT on Tuesday, and Scotland can reach the knockouts by beating Morocco live on talkSPORT tonight.
It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Nigel Rio-Coker. We're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First track delivers to you from 30 minutes. First stop, Toolstation. Now then, while we are all over the World Cup here in the United States and Scotland playing Morocco later today, it's all happening elsewhere because the US Open up and running. Let's hear the very latest from Gabby Partington. Gabby.
Yes, Jim, and also in New York. And Wyndham Clark, well, he seems to be playing a different course to everyone else, doesn't he? The 2023 champion actually already surged to 6 under par before darkness halted play last night here at Shinnecock Hills, actually leaving him with just 2 holes to complete early this morning. He parred those 2 holes, so the American remains 6 under and leads by 2. And actually, his whole group are on fire, to be honest, with Dustin Johnson as closest challenger, finishing at 4 under par, and Gary Woodland 3 under 67, 13 under between them. They're already back out on the golf course, so no time for rest for that trio, as is Matt Fitzpatrick, who's just three back himself. And what about the amateur in Ryder Cowan, who had an early lead yesterday? Well, he's certainly making a name for himself, isn't he? Still right in the mix, 1 under today. 3 under for the championship. He didn't miss a single fairway yesterday. Just 21 years old, making his major debut. Amazing stuff from the young American, holding his own out here for sure. Well, as you mentioned, round 2 well underway, and just look at that leaderboard. 4 of the top 5, all former US Open champions.
The US Open on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Buy a used car and get a free 2-year service plan.
It is Jim White live on talkSPORT from New York this morning. Jim White with the Croydon boys, Simon Jordan and Nigel Rio-Coker. I mean, they really are empathising with each other every time we hit a commercial break. And moments ago, can we see it, Nigel? You were saying we're Croydon boys. Look, the rings.
He's as bigger than mine, but you know.
I'm not doing that.
They were both showing off the bling. I mean, honest to goodness. Actually, on the subject of that, Craig Beattie at Celtic. I remember you, Craig. Of course I do. Good lad. Played for Scotland. Played for Palace.
He did.
Craig's just got in touch. Loving Nigel with you. Croydon and the Croydon Park Hotel gives me nightmares from my loan spell at Crystal Palace.
Grateful rich.
Hope you're enjoying the United States. So, no offence to the Croydon Park Hotel, but is
wasn't
that
the best?
But it wasn't the best. Is that where you put every?
He did it on purpose, 100%. He did it on purpose. Right,
you know
next
this
to
place,
Fairfield,
Nigel?
right next to Fairfield Halls, right in the heart of Croydon.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, no, it was the one
in
in
Purley Way.
Purley Way,
next to the old Croydon Airport.
Yes.
Where the first overseas transatlantic flight took off from. So it's got history.
Right, I'll bet it has.
It did.
But you were so good to the players, weren't you? Nigel Witham, of course, many Villa fans getting in touch with me to say thanks for what you did at the football club, Nigel. And, of course, West Ham. Nigel, West Ham. Still got a big part in your heart, no doubt?
Fantastic clubs. Both clubs, West Ham and Aston Villa. Really are. When you talk about family clubs, they both are family clubs. I think the difference is also it's the areas. Obviously, West Ham in London, Villa in Birmingham. West Ham fans are not shy to let you know how they feel if they see you.
Oh, yes.
Villa fans were a lot more respectful in the way where they'll see you, hi, this and that. But West Ham fans were very vocal in their opinion of their football club, how you're performing.
Yeah.
Great club. Great. It's one of those clubs that if you're born in a West Ham household, you're not going to be any other football fan apart from a West Ham. Like, I've never heard people born in a West Ham household and they're supporting Tottenham, Chelsea, and else. It just doesn't happen. It's passed through the generation.
It's championship football for them next season, Nigel. I'm slightly distracted because the window cleaners are out again, Simon. Do you see them up there?
Yeah, it makes my bum go tight, that one.
It makes your bum go tight. There we go. 50 floors up. Anyway, Nigel, West Ham, the championship for them, relegated. Heck of a disappointing end to the season. Where did it go wrong?
Recruiting. Recruiting has been really poorly done for a couple of years now. You talk about the Premier League, the modern game and what you need, the lack of mobility and dynamism, especially for a club that needs to be more consistent in the top 10 finish. Recruiting hasn't been great in the players that they've brought in. Lack of real stability. I think for me, when I look at a club like West Ham, the reality of it is this. The foundation of that club is the academy. They've always been very proud of the academy, and you look at the players and the history that club has had with the players that they've developed. That should be your foundation. Then after that, it's only a sprinkling of what you need. Maybe a bit of spice when it comes to 1 or 2, 3 or foreign players or whatever it is. But the foundation should be from the academy, and that way it gives them a bit of an identity and a blueprint to build on. Because I look at West Ham, for the size of the club, the fan base they have around the world, They should be doing what Crystal Palace have just done. You talk about FA Cup win and winning in Europe again. I know West Ham won the Europa Conference League, but I think they should be a lot more stable, the likes of like a Brighton and a Bournemouth, for how big a club is. And I think they really need to find that foundation, that blueprint and identity and stick to it.
Sure. If Jared Bowen stays with them, Nigel, would you admire his loyalty or would you question his ambition?
You'd have to say you question his ambition. I think that he's done what he's been a great servant to the football club. That's the reality of it. He's done so much at the club. He's made a name for himself. He's always performed. I think that any West Ham fan to have any kind of ill will towards him if he leaves the club now will be naive. You know, you want a player to play with passion and commitment. Simon's an owner. He knows what it is. If a player gives everything he can for the club when he's there, week in, week out, it's hard to deny that player because it's not just him. You can't blame Jarrod Bowen for West Ham going down. It's a multitude of things in bad recruiting, but he's still always been one of the shining beacons for the football club every time he's played.
Yeah. I can't make up my mind, Sam, if he's going to stay or go, to be quite honest.
I think it's a fair observation to suggest that if anyone's earned the right to leave, it probably may well be him. On the other side of the argument, he's one of the guys that put the team in the cart. He might have been one of the shining lights, but they all went down. And I remember having the exact same conversation with Andrew Johnson, who was in the England squad at the time, and there was, and obviously that ghastly little wretch of an agent, Leon Angel, in my office trying to get him moved.
There you go. Morning, Leon.
And I just said to him, "You're not going, and it's part and parcel of your responsibility." Of course, I rewarded him for staying. But Jarrod Bowen, look. I mean, it's a bit of both. If he stays, he shows remarkable integrity behind accepting that he was part of a team that went down and he wants to be part of a team that goes back up again.
Yeah.
The other side of the argument is he misses out on opportunities. And I never say this very often because I don't think it's particularly applicable in terms of the finances. But there are times when it can be a short career. You're in it for 10, 12 years and you get a certain amount of times, not economically, you can make your money in 2 years if you're a top player and never have to work again. But as far as opportunities to play and to play at the highest level, it is a limited window. So I wouldn't, the only caveat again would be, make sure West Ham get top money for him.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get top money for him, it becomes almost that the player's being served out a better opportunity to get a bigger wage somewhere else.
I think that's the most important thing that Simon says, that you talk about the window period and his age right now and everything that he's done before that. It is right, it's fine and fair for him to go. Because if you still talk about West Ham and the history of the club, you look at the great West Ham team that was too good to go down and get relegated, and they got relegated. And look at how many of those players left quickly. You talk about Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah.
Michael Carrick stayed for a bit and went to Tottenham after that. They lost pretty much nearly the entire team.
Yeah.
And then we were the ones that came in, and then they said that we're not going to be good enough to get them up. And obviously we proved them wrong of that. But I think for me, with what he's done, you have to be satisfied in what he's produced for the club and say, you know what, let him go.
They're one of the big clubs in English football, West Ham. In my near 3 decades in London, I've got to realise that. They could be a giant again, but they've got to go straight back up. Before we hit the break, with Nigel and Simon, I want to get to Newcastle. Simon, is it deja vu for Newcastle? Because seemingly, they always play second fiddle in the transfer market. They had their deal for the Osasuna winger Victor Munoz hijacked last night, you probably heard, by Liverpool. And Liverpool nicked in and very nicely completed a £34.5 million deal. Iraola's first signing. Luke Edwards in the Telegraph back in the UK today. Munoz was a priority target. He was the first choice replacement for Anthony Gordon and Newcastle thought they had him. And then he wraps it up by looking at what's gone on in the past, Simon. With the scars from 12 months ago still stinging, Newcastle lost out to Chelsea on João Pedro, Liverpool on Ekitike, Manchester United on Mbeumo and Sesko, and Manchester City on James Trafford.
Sure.
It's happening time and time again.
Well, you make that argument, but you look at the clubs that it's happening to them with. If you made the argument it happened to them with Aston Villa, if you made the argument that it happened to them with one of the sides that would finish in and around Newcastle, you can start to say, well, hang on a second, how is your processes? Why are you able to be taken advantage of by players, or more importantly, equal footing clubs? But there is a scenario when you're talking about 4, however they've got there, legacy clubs.
Yeah.
So Newcastle are in a terribly invidious position. We know this, we've rehearsed this discussion 100 times over. They can't break into the top 6, despite the protestations of their chief executive rambling on about how they're going to win the league in the next 5 years with no methodology behind it.
Yeah.
Because they can't get the finances and they can't buy the players and they go around in a circle. To get into the top 6, you need to have big ability to spend. They've got the ability to spend, but PSR says, oh no, you can't. So if it were, as I say, with due respect to Aston Villa, or someone of that ilk, and no disrespect to Nigel sitting here, if it were a club that Newcastle were on an equal footing with to some extent in people's minds, I'd say, how's that happening? But when Liverpool come in, or Man City, or even Chelsea, most clubs are at a disadvantage.
Sure.
So that's the nature. So it's when we characterise it as it's happening again at Newcastle. First of all, Newcastle made a song and dance out of it of Isak. They should have sat Isak down and concentrated his mind and said to Liverpool, you pay £125 million now or you're not getting him. Yeah. That's why it got protracted. And when we say, oh, it's happening again, Newcastle got 125 million quid out of it. They might not have spent it very well, but that's a different discussion.
Sure. I wonder if they're shopping in the wrong market, Nigel. I mean, a bit of detail for you before you react to this. Munoz, as late as 6 o'clock on Wednesday, Luke Edwards tells us in the Telegraph, his representatives were reassuring senior figures at Newcastle, Munoz is yours. He's coming here. 4 hours later, Liverpool. How does that happen?
There's two things. I'll look at it. Simon described it really well, in my opinion. I think for me, the other thing I'll put it, I'll take it to a player's perspective. Look at the connection. He's Spanish. You're Spanish. So I think there's a deeper connection there. And that's no offence to Eddie Howe. But if, yes, you want to go to Newcastle in the fact of first you're looking at getting into the Premier League, an exciting new challenge, and then Liverpool come, and Liverpool is a historic football club in the English Premier League with what they've done, especially of recent years. Yeah. And now they have a Spanish manager there. So from a player's perspective, you're going to think, I'm going to be more comfortable with a Spanish manager who's probably going to take care of me better and understand me, my culture, my family, and that plays a part. I think sometimes we forget the human element of it. And I know it's a word, culture, that gets thrown around, but it does play a part for footballers and players when they go to certain clubs. And I think that could be a big factor.
And that's a good point too. What you can't do is you can't say they're being lackadaisical. We're in the middle of June, right? Back in the day, signing players in the middle of June did not happen. We waited until the players came back from pre-season, and now people are getting their act together, they're getting organised, they're getting focused. So you can't go to Newcastle and say, well, how have you allowed that to happen? What's happened is the agent, and let's have it right, the agent that was showing Newcastle is doing what agents do, which is talking out the side of his mouth. He'll be sitting there going to Newcastle saying, it's a done deal, going to Liverpool, you can have him if you want, but I want this for it.
Sure. We're going to move on. So much to get in. David Moyes will join us live. Fabian Hürzeler will join us live. And we are live in New York City, coming up to 10 to 9 in the morning, 10 to 2 with you back home in the UK. And we're live on talkSPORT.
We were just chatting off air about Terry Venables and Euro 96. You're getting Euro 96 vibes already.
Well, I'm getting England-Holland Euro 96 vibes, 100%, because, I was very fortunate enough to know Terry, as I'm sure you two did. And, I asked him about that game. We used to do a show together on Saturdays on the radio about football. And, he said, I just threw 7 forwards on. Everybody could play in attack. Even the sort of back four, we were very sort of front-footed thinking. And he said, don't worry about how many goals they're going to score. Just score more goals than them. And then you have them on the back foot and they can't get out of their own half anyway. Yeah. And you were there for England-Holland at Wembley Stadium. I was there when the scoreboard said England 4, Holland 0. I mean, they did score a goal, but we did see 4-0 for a while. And last night was very, very reminiscent of that, and they talk about total football. That was as close as we got. And, I'm fascinated by managers and what they say and what makes the difference between Alex Ferguson and an Arsene Wenger and a Thomas Tuchel compared to the others. Ancelotti, I know you're a big fan of, and he's been on the show. Yeah. And it's great, isn't it, because Harry, the thing about Tuchel is he's just saying what he thinks, even right before the game. He's saying, well, we're going to do this because they're going to do that. And if they're watching, they know what he's going to do. But he's so organised in a way that's sort of, quite off-putting for the opposition, I would imagine. And then Harry Kane does a Thomas Tuchel after the match because he tells you exactly what Tuchel told them at half time, which was basically, lads, I thought we had a deal here. You're just gonna play like you don't care, like you're back in the playground, you know. And in the first half, you didn't do that, boys. You know, we had an agreement. Can we just go out and do that? And they all went, oh yeah, we remember. And they just went out, and it was just a different game. And I was
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Here in the United States, in Boston to be precise, it's all about Scotland-Morocco later. We will get to that. Let's stay in the UK for the time being, though. It's the second test at the Oval. England-New Zealand. Here's Sam.
After an innings each, Jim, New Zealand have a 100-run lead, so England got to be pretty good with the ball here in the third innings. They're off to a really good start. An early wicket, New Zealand 8 for 1. Latham goes for 4. Great delivery from Jofra Archer, going around the wicket, angling the ball into the left-handed bat. There's a bit of movement, then going away from the left-hander, pushes it a ball outside of his off stump, takes the outside edge, caught behind. Latham goes for 4. New Zealand 10 for 1, leading England by 110 runs.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. In the meantime, back here in the US, it's time for this.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com for all the latest odds and offers. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Yet time to look ahead to the day ahead with talkSPORT Bet and their ambassador, Ryan Douglas. And I have to say, a bit of a Birmingham love-in between, which was quite nauseating, really, when the two got together this morning. When Ryan and former Villa player Nigel Reo-Coker got together. Edgbaston-born Ryan Douglas.
Do you know Edgbaston B5?
Yeah, I drove past Edgbaston a few times.
Drove past it?
Yeah, drove past it. Didn't spend a lot of time there, though.
But obviously made a big impression on you, Nigel. So here we go. What have you got for us today? The World Cup as a place to do business, a place to do transfer business. We're looking at that, Ryan.
Absolutely. Honing in on a few players, really. Obviously, Scotland play Morocco today. Bouadi, 18 years old. I don't want to say he's a breakout star of the tournament because that would imply that if this tournament has put him on the map, but there's been a lot of teams that have been after him. As I say, 18 years of age. He's a ball-progressing midfielder. Describe him as a 6, that's where he plays, but he's all-encompassing. He does everything. Plays for Lille at the moment, and he's been priced at £61 million for this 18-year-old. He's the youngest player to make his debut in a UEFA club competition, so he really is making waves. With talkSPORT Bet, Arsenal are currently the favourites to sign him. They're obviously envisioning that Rice and Bouadi midfield, which sounds frightening for the time being. Then you've got your Real Madrid's at 3-1, PSG's at 4-1. I suppose the question is, should the World Cup be used as a shot window? Maybe, I don't know, Simon, as a club owner, would you be expecting your scouts to be doing overtime during the World Cup?
It's not very difficult. They can just turn on the bloody TV and watch them. It's not much innovation there. Listen, this kid is 18 years of age, and to put him at 60 million quid, I would be surprised if Arsenal want to spend 60 million quid on an 18-year-old midfielder to sit in behind Declan Rice. But they've got other priorities. But he's He's a young player. He played well against Brazil a Brazil midfield that was absent. And I know he's got some numbers at Lille. Let's see. Let's see who he goes against. I mean, they go to Scotland, don't they? So we don't have to worry about that too much. He'll shine in that game as well.
Thank you.
But let's see how he goes. But yeah, he looked. I don't know. You're a midfielder. He looked like a prestigious talent.
Phenomenal.
Prodigious talents.
Phenomenal talent. I'll push back on Simon a bit. The kid is special. Been watching him from Lille, from the Europa League competition. Played in some big games, played against Roma. The kid is special. He is an all-round midfielder. If he can add some goals to his game, he's a top-level talent at a young age. And I think, again, this is the difficult situation. When you're young like that, he probably could have more to this of a young player. It's the decision you make of what club you join and the reason why. At this young age, you need to play games. You need to go to a club that's going to let you play games to continue to develop. But he is a very special talent. Been hiring him from the year, not just because of what he did against Brazil, but what he's done the entirety of the season, the amount of games he's played.
Good, Nigel. Let's hope he is a stinker today. Marcus Rashford, where are you going with that, Ryan?
Yeah, another one, isn't it? Because obviously he comes on for England, and albeit it was a substitute appearance, but the way he took that goal, that calm demeanour in which he took it was fantastic. He's had an up and down time, I would say, with Barcelona. Started fantastically well, and it's kind of tailed off towards the end. And obviously we can read into the fact that they've signed Gordon, haven't they? And as of right now, he's not Barcelona bound. At the moment, talkSPORT Bet have you covered. Any Spanish club are the favourites to sign him at 2-1. And then you're looking at your Spurs is at 6-1, Villa at 8-1. Again, Arsenal were linked to him, but they're all the way down the list at 16-1. What do you think, Nige? Marcus Rashford's next club. Does he stay at Manchester United, or do you think he should try and look further afield?
It depends on his conversation with Michael Carrick and if he's got the mindset to go back, because obviously there'll be a certain amount of Manchester United fans who probably won't want to welcome him back, and he has to get the fan base back on side, and you do that by your performances. I think with him making that decision now, he needs another challenge, but the next challenge that he takes up is going to be it for him. This has to be now somewhere where he can stay and get a bit of a foundation and really achieve what he's supposed to. You know, there's a point now where he's got the talent, no problem, no denying that. But now you have to show that to us in a more consistent manner.
Now to the most important topic of the lot, Scotland. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, Ryan?
I know it's a late one in the UK today, this game, by the way, but it's 6 p.m. for us here against Scotland, Morocco. So simply this, talkSPORT Bet, and I mentioned it yesterday, have super boosted. No, it's not Simon's train to get cancelled again. They have super boosted Scotland to get a goal, just to get a goal today. It was odds on, and it's now gone to 5-4. So I'm going to go around the panel, and I'm going to ask whether that happens. Let's start with Nige. Does Scotland score today? What do you think? Do you think they'll win the game as well? What are you thinking?
I would say they score.
Yes.
But to win the game, I can't see it. I think Morocco just a very well-talented team all around. And you look at last World Cup, they were very defensively organised and just play counter-attacking.
Yeah.
Now this World Cup, they've transitioned to be a team that actually wants to control and dictate the play. They've taken their game to another level. Hakimi is one of the best right-back in world football right now, how influential he can be. Mazraoui on the other side, we talk about Bouhaddi. They've got some talent, they've got some players who can come off the bench as well. They're a very confident side, and I think they're trying to go far in this tournament.
But Scotland score?
Scotland score. I'll give him a go. John McGinn.
There you go.
Super John.
Hey. Good, Nigel. Let me go last because I want to hear from him. Go.
No, don't waste your time. I have no interest. Don't ask me. I'm not interested.
You're not even going to offer Ryan
you got to humour me.
Score line.
No, it's not, because it's like spending time with Piers Morgan. I can't bear talking about Arsenal anymore because I want to talk about it. Listening, standing next to you, any affection I have for Scotland doing well has been wrung out of me by you and the Shabans and the Brazils and the McCoys of the world. So I could care less.
Good. Well, we're delighted about
Besides
that.
you lot getting pumped. I care about that.
Good. In the nicest possible way, shut your face. Now then, Scotland will score.
Yes.
I go 1-1.
Oh, OK.
If I was to go to Sky Bet, talkSPORT Bet today and say, what do you think then? What do you think, Ryan? 1-1, what would you give me?
Do you know what? 1-1, I think, as I say, I think Morocco will be favourites for this one. But the draw, I don't know. I'm leaning towards that as well, I have to say.
Good, Ryan.
And you can get Scotland just
what
over
odds he wants? He wants his odds.
There's no signal up here for me, so unfortunately I can't give you that one. But I will say that we can get you a goal just over even.
The odds are so long.
Oh, he's perky now, isn't he? I go a double. I go 1-1 Scotland, Morocco, and his next train to Rhode Island cancelled. Ryan, thank you. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to talkSPORT Bet. 18+, gambleaware.org.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Simon, from Southgate to Tuchel, was this the front-footed difference that you have been wishing?
Oh, definitely. I mean, for a number of reasons, for the reasons that Brad's laid out in terms of the substitutions, from the manner in which this is rock and roll football. This is what we saw with Jurgen Klopp in the second half. Interesting that Tuchel needs to have a reinforcement at half-time, because you would have assumed that conversation had happened before the game and that they were told to get on the front foot before the game. And England looked quite nervous when they started, and they weren't, for the first 5 or 10 minutes, I thought they weren't really at it. And you know, I think the performance in the second half, I was sitting next to Brad, and he was saying to me, and I think I'm right in quoting him, is that this is the best attacking performance that we've seen in the World Cup so far, in terms of the way that they put it upon the Croatians. Whatever we may have created in the media about how old this Croatian team is, Troy was saying off air that the average age of the Croatians is 28 and a half, whereas our team is 27. We've been walking around under the impression this is a dad's army, just because you've got Luka Modric. So they're not mugs. You know, I think we could have done better with the goals, but notwithstanding that, you know, whatever lessons we think we need to learn defensively, Tuchel will learn them and they'll make some adjustments. But offensively, if you look at that performance, that is as good as you want an England side to play. It's as good as an England side has played on the front foot for a very, very long time. And you look at it, and 4-2 flatters the Croatians to some extent, because England could have had 6 in the second half. So I think it's a great marker. It's a great start to the tournament. It's what the public will want to see. Tuchel is hiding his light behind a bushel, because I would imagine he was very strong in the dressing room at half-time to wake a few people up, because you saw it, they came out of the traps like men possessed. Yeah. You know, the perfect cure to a goal just before half-time is a goal directly after half-time. And that's exactly what England got.
I also thought as well, sorry, I know you've got to go to break.
No problem.
But you know, now you see so many managers say buzzwords. Yeah. And he's talking about being aggressive, being on the front foot. He actually means it, doesn't he?
Talk Sport.
3 minutes past 2, good afternoon. A win tonight in Boston and Scotland are through to the World Cup knockouts. 11 p.m. against Morocco. Live on talkSPORT, Steve Clarke says psychologically this game could be more straightforward than the Haiti opener.
Sometimes the Scottish psyche, the Scottish mentality is that we're a little bit more comfortable when we're the underdogs. We were the favourites against Haiti and we found the game a struggle, but we managed to win. This time we're the underdogs, and sometimes Scotland prefer it that way.
Meanwhile, in the build-up, Morocco's preparations may have been affected by confirmation from French prosecutors that captain Achraf Hakimi will stand trial for rape. Hakimi is still set to lead out his team. Elsewhere, Arsenal start their Premier League defence at home to promoted Coventry. Live on talkSPORT on Friday, August the 21st. Darren Bent calls it a dream tie for Arteta and Lampard.
For Coventry, it's an incredible opening day fixture for them. But they know it's going to be difficult. But listen, Frank's done a fantastic job there. So he'll have them set up ready to go, but you'd expect Arsenal to win that.
Xabi Alonso's first game in charge of Chelsea is the West London derby at Fulham. There's a full list of the fixtures at talksport.com. In the WSL, legendary Lioness Mary Earps has signed for London City Lionesses. At the Oval, England are bowling under blue skies with a lot to do on day 3, but they've started positively. Sam Ellard.
Yeah, New Zealand taking a lead of 100 into the second innings after England bowled out for 291 this morning. But Archer has Latham caught behind for a good start for England with the ball. New Zealand 17 for 1. Latham pushing at a ball outside of his off stump. Jofra Archer bowling a good spell here in the afternoon session. It's Conway and Nichols at the crease. England need wickets and quickly. New Zealand 17 for 1. That's for the lead of 117 runs.
Overseas listeners can get live ball-by-ball commentary on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
It's understood a 3-year-old was attacked by at least one crocodile after ending up in a zoo enclosure in Cambridgeshire, and an elderly woman's been jailed for the manslaughter of her stepdaughter in a hot bath almost 50 years ago. More with Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Rain in the northwest, edging slowly southeast, drier elsewhere with sunny spells, hot and dry in the southeast, feeling muggy.
Hi everyone, we're live in New York City. It's 5 minutes past 9 over here in the morning. It's 5 minutes past 2 with you in the afternoon in the UK. You know that anyway, as everybody on Twitter tends to remind me. But anyway, I've got to keep you updated because that's part of the job. Part of the job too is to welcome Nigel Reo-Coker to this studio. And Nigel, you're playing a blinder, mate. So many messages coming in, so many Villa fans, West Ham fans. Very pleased to see you alongside your fellow Croydonite, if there is such a term. Is there? What do you call somebody that comes from Croydon?
Croydonian.
Croydonian. Anyway, yeah. Simon Jordan, of course, is one of your own. One of your own. Canada got themselves a great result last night. They beat Qatar by 6-0. Jesse Marsh, no doubt, a very happy man at that. Let's go to Canada now, in fact, specifically Toronto, because that is where we find Brighton head coach Fabian Hürzeler, who's waiting to speak to us this morning here in New York. Fabian, hi to you, mate. It's good to have you on the show once again. Simon is with me, so too is Nigel Reo-Coker, who you may remember used to play for these two great Premier League clubs, Villa and West Ham. Here's the thing, you've been inside the Brazil camp. Tell me more.
Yeah, it was a great experience. So spent some hours with the coaching team, with Carlo Ancelotti, with Davide, with Paul, and the funny thing, we watched together the England against Croatia game. So a lot of great opinions, a lot of great insights about the game, and it was just a very interesting exchange. And I think it's always important to learn also from other great personalities, to learn from other coaches. And I think Ancelotti is one of the best in the world. So it was a pleasure for me.
Excellent. What did Carlo have to say about England and the way they went about the job?
So he said one sentence. He said they look really dangerous. So I think everyone was impressed by the performance from England, especially second half. They looked not only particular tactically quite well. I was really impressed by three things. The first thing was their structure and the team and the connection I felt between the different parts of the team. So I think they're really good core. They have like personalities with Pickford in the goal. They have Stones. They have Bellingham, Rice, and in midfield, and they have Kane, with a really strong core. Then they have like creative players with Gordon, with Madueke, with Saka, and on top of that, they have team players who understand like their role. So Anderson is playing for the team, Reece James, O'Reilly. So I think the structure and the connection of the team, they look so stable, and on top of that, they look quite sharp and fit. So for me, quite physical, really good reactions when they lost the ball, good body language. So beside all the tactical bits, beside all the performance bit, I think these two things really stand out. So the structure, the connection on the pitch, and how physical and sharp they look, that was quite impressive.
Fabian, you'll know Jamie Carragher. He's a Sky Sports pundit, of course, former Liverpool player. And he has a column in the Telegraph newspaper. He's saying, we're not used to seeing England play like this. Everyone will agree it's a great watch. But the big debate remains, is this really the blueprint to go all the way? In other words, the question he's asking is, can England win the World Cup playing like a Premier League team? Can they?
For me, definitely they can do, because like I said, of course they look like a Premier League team, because of course they also have a lot of Premier League players in the squad. But for me, like these two things I just mentioned, like the structure, the core they have, the connection they have on the pitch, I think that is so important when you are in a camp for such a long time, when you see each other, the connection between each other, relationships between each other, they have to be strong. On top of that, they look quite sharp. They look fit. They reacted well. They had a good understanding of managing the game. And then for me, like still, I'm really convinced of Thomas. I'm really convinced of Tuchel. He knows how to win trophies. So he knows how to win a tournament. And one last thing, what makes me quite confident with this is like they look really good in every phase of the game. So they look good in set pieces. They also look quite dangerous when they were in a low block and made like transition. I think it's also important that they are capable of defending in a low block, and they know their strengths in transition because they have like fast players. But they're also capable of dominating a game. Like in the second half, their positioning, their structure, their flexibility with Kane chopping, with Reece James coming inside, with O'Reilly coming inside. So I think they are good in every phase of the game. They have a clear structure, they have a good connection, a good relationship, and they have a coach who knows how to win trophies. So that's why I think they're a contender for the World Cup.
Fabian, give us the other side of the game now. Obviously, you're managing a coach yourself. Give us what worries you about England and what could you feel they could be vulnerable at?
So I think that it shows a little bit in the first half that the goals they concede quite in an easy way that looks quite vulnerable. But for me, I try to see more the positives. It's for me then when you concede these goals, how you react as a team. Do you fall apart or do you stick together? And we heard a lot about the halftime talk from Thomas. We saw how the players stick together. I focus also a lot on the body language, how the players react on these setbacks during the game. So of course you can see the negatives, and you can say the goals they concede was quite easy. It was not perfect defending, but for me the most positive is how they react towards the goal, how they react after they had this setback, and how they stick together and used like also the breaks regarding the water break, but also the halftime break.
Fabian, watch your Brighton team a lot. We see how you like your team to play, how they can dictate and control the tempo of the game. Is that a worry for you when you look at England, the inability to control the game and dictate and in large portions of the game to dictate the tempo and maybe that midfield performance as they move forward and they're going to face tougher and better opposition? Is that a worry?
I think the key bit will be that they maintain their structure in the game, because if you want to dominate the opponent, if you want to control the game by having ball possession, it's all about positioning. It's all about by having the right structure. And like I mentioned before, I think the flexibility we saw from England with Kane chopping, with the fullbacks coming inside, with Rice chopping to the left, Anderson chopping to the right. I think this flexibility makes it really difficult to press them. But I know it as a coach, if you have this flexibility, it's really important that you maintain the structure. That means if you lose the ball, that you're good in counter pressing. If you lose the ball, that you have a good structure, that the opponents, they can't make transition, that they immediately stop by making their transition. I think that's one key bit for all the top teams, for all the top nations in this tournament, that they're able to handle the transition moments from the opponents, because it will be definitely a key point in the World Cup as well.
Fabian, we now know the Premier League fixtures for the start of next season, and your boys at Brighton on day one go in against Aston Villa. You'll probably have to do it, Fabian, without defender Jan-Paul van Hecke, after a £52 million deal has been agreed with Tottenham Hotspur. I don't know how I phrase this. Are you pleased for him?
Very pleased. I think Jean-Paul has been outstanding for us. So he developed into one of the best centre-backs in the league through hard work, through consistency, and through a fantastic mentality. And and we as a club, we are grateful for everything he gave to Brighton, and of course we will miss him. While we'll miss him, we wish him all the best for him, for his career, and of course also for his family.
I mean, it's not bad business, is it? When he moved to you guys, an initial £1.8 million from NEC Breda in 2020. So it's a nice healthy profit for Messrs Bloom and Barber, isn't it?
Yeah, another great job. Another proven point how good the recruitment is, and we are known. Brighton is known for the outstanding recruitment. Brighton is known that they also make a lot of profit of players. Of course, for me as a coach, it's not always nice to lose the best players, but we all convinced that we find the right solutions for that. And I think Paul and also Tony, they did a great job, and again finding a player with a lot of potential and then selling him with a lot of profit.
Have you got anyone close to coming in?
Always. We always try to be active on the market. We try to analyze our situation now. We try to analyze what does the team need, what helps us, what profile do we need, what character do we need, because like I mentioned, Jean-Paul van Hecke was a great character also in the locker room, but we all, and I'm especially convinced that we will find the right solutions.
Fabian, I know you're in the Brazil camp and been there. Come on, give us the answer. What Brazilian player you got your eye on?
That was a funny thing because I spoke with Thiago from Brentford, so we know each other from playing against each other. I think he had an impressive season, great goal scorer, and we just had a really nice chat. But overall, I think when you look at the Brazilian squad, they have players that would definitely make us better. But for me, it's really important that we make the right signings that make sense for us, that fits to the characters we already have, that fits to the style of play from us. So let's try to make a rational, good decision.
Finally, Fabian, and we've got to mention it, Scotland, Morocco. What do you think?
I'm impressed by Morocco. I'm impressed by their team. I follow them since a long time, and I think they have a really good squad, really good individual players, especially in their peak at the moment when we speak about Hakimi, when we speak about other players signing now for big clubs. And on top of that, I think that they have really good togetherness in their squad. They played really good AFCON, and now I think they're ranked 7th in the FIFA world ranking list. So I think we have to take them serious, and I'm really impressed by them.
That's nice. I noticed Scotland didn't get a mention in that answer, Fabian.
Because I think that Morocco will win the game, but also what we see, and I spoke with the Brazilian technical squad, with the Brazilian coaching team about that in the World Cup there's no real team that you can underestimate. Like the quality and the difference between the teams is getting really, really tight. So therefore every game can be 50-50. No game is that clear. Every team has to reach the highest standards, the highest limits. So that's why I think it will be again a tough game. But I think that it will be in the end Morocco who will win the game, because the first game was quite impressive. But of course, when you look at the squad from Scotland, you also see a lot of individual quality. So when you go through all the teams, they all have some individual bits where you have to take care. And what I heard, I wasn't in the stadium, is that the Scotland fans are just impressive loud. So I think they created the loudest atmosphere so far in the World Cup.
Yes.
It can be definitely a plus point for them. So that's why let's see and wait for the game today, what happens. But if I have to make a decision, then I would go with Morocco. But let's see.
Okay, I used to like you, Fabian Herzler. Fabian, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Terrific stuff. And we'll see you, no doubt, again, probably out here in the US, if not back in the UK. That game tonight, Scotland-Morocco, live on talkSPORT. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Nigel Reo-Coker. We're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation.
We're talking about that in great detail yet on yesterday's show, about whether or not he should start, how much game time he should have. Because it's Cristiano Ronaldo, I think there's so much pressure on the manager, Roberto Martinez, to pick him, to start him, etc. What's your view on a situation like that? What do you do, Rio?
Well, Roberto Martinez is paid the money to make this decision, and I think it's the way that he handles that, it will be key. I think if he was going to attempt to kind of take Cristiano Ronaldo out of the team, I think it's all about the narrative. I think it's all about approaching him and going, listen, if he thinks this is how I'll do it. We've got a better chance of winning it for you coming on with 30 minutes to go when the opposition are tired, when their limbs are all weary, lactic acid is building up in all these players' legs, and they see Cristiano Ronaldo warming up on the side, and you come on and terrorise them and capitalise on that in the latter stages of the games. Do you think anyone's going to be bothered when you lift that trophy as our captain? No. So here we go. You're going to start some games, but then some you're not going to start. But that's part of the plan. And at 41 years old, I'm sure that Cristiano would understand that because, listen, we all know, Benny, you're the same. When we were getting older, things weren't working as quickly, as smoothly as they once were. But there's no denying the guy's potent. When the ball drops in the box, if you had three players to the top 3 players in the world for the ball to drop to, he'd be one of the guys you wanted to drop to even still now because he's that potent. He's got almost 1,000 goals. But listen, if it was down to me, I think I would take that same approach I just mentioned there. I'd pull him in and out of games depending on the opponents. And I just have to make sure that I talk to him and make sure he understands that. But one thing I would say when I watched him, I think a lot of blame and a lot of people are pointing the finger at Cristiano. I don't think the actual service into him was great either, by the way, or an opportunity to put his way often. I saw quite a few options to play the ball forward.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Over here in New York City, waking up to a Friday morning, everybody heading off to work. It's 9:20 over here, 2:20 with you guys back in the UK. What's going on at the Oval in the cricket? England, New Zealand, the second test. Let's find out. Here's Sam.
A good start for England with ball in hand. The second quick wicket, New Zealand, 28 for 2. Josh Tongue into the attack, and he gets Devon Conway for 11. A full ball, a wide ball outside off stump. Conway plays an expansive drive, looking to go through the offside. Takes the outside edge. Good catch by Harry Brook at second slip. So Latham gone for 4, Conway gone for 11. New Zealand 28 for 2, leading England by 128 runs.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. Everton boss David Moyes will join us today before we go at 11 o'clock our time, 4 o'clock yours in the UK. Scotland take on Morocco tonight in Group C. That game you can hear live on talkSPORT. But Morocco, one of the really highly fancied African nations to do something special, I'm afraid to say, at these World Cup finals here in the US. African football journalist, and he's proven to be a big favourite on this show, Osasu Obeyuwana, joins us again in studio. Osasu, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Simon, smile. What's the problem with you? What's going on?
I always have this sort of moment in time when I realise that you're on. So I have to get my face in line.
So sorry that that's such a horrible moment.
Nigel Reo-Coker in between you is grinning from ear to ear, so that'll do for me. Can't seem to find anyone, Osasu, who's giving Scotland a chance against Morocco. Why is that?
Because Morocco is superior. It's as simple as that, but it's football. So it's one thing to be superior on paper, it's another thing to prove it on the field. So
yeah,
let's see what happens. But on paper, no, Morocco are too many steps above Scotland.
Well, Osasu, you were at AFCON, of course, you covered them very closely. And we all know what happened at the end when Senegal played Morocco in the final. That apart, if Scotland are to get at Morocco, what are their weaknesses? Where did they find any weakness in that makeup?
Should I be helping Scotland by saying what I think their Morocco's weaknesses are?
Yes.
Why? Because I want Morocco to win.
I used to like him as well.
I still like you too, Jim. Look, I think Morocco need to have that consistency. Against Brazil, they should have won the game. They could have easily have won the game if they had taken all their chances in the first half. But as soon as Vini scored the equalizer for Brazil, Morocco kind of stepped back a bit, and they weren't playing the way they were playing before. So they have to have that consistency. They need to have a very strong mental attitude to see, because a football game is from minute 1 to minute 90. It's not from minute 1 to minute 45 or minute 60 or minute 70. And if you're playing an opponent, you have to respect your opponent, regardless of whether they are on paper a big opponent or a small opponent. So, but I mean, I was speaking to a colleague of mine who is in Casablanca just before I came on, and he was saying to me that Moroccans know that it is folly to disrespect any opponent. So they will not be disrespecting Scotland today, I can assure you.
I like that. How do the Moroccans view Scotland?
They're an opponent. They have to beat them. They've drawn their first game, and the objective is to win. It's that simple.
I mean, it's easier said than done for Scotland to get something out of this. Nigel, put on a kilt for me and play in this game for Scotland. What kind of 90 minutes would lie ahead for you?
It depends on your mindset and your approach. I think if you're Scotland, yes, you know that Morocco are going to be seen as the favourite. That's fine. It doesn't mean you can't make a game of it. When you look at a team like Morocco, how they're going to play, their fullbacks are going to be very influential. You talk about Hakimi, one of their best players. Sometimes your greatest strength can also be your greatest weakness. So from a Scotland's perspective, if you can stay organised, compete, you're going to have to play counter-attacking. So you're going to have to try and expose the space that these fullbacks leave. So that means once the ball does go up, hold it up, let the team join up. You've got the likes of McTominay, who's got the legs to get forward and make something happen. Set pieces is something as well that you're going to have to take your time with in the quality of the delivery and the timing of the runs and take advantage of that. But I'll probably say just trying to expose how adventurous Morocco will be with their fullbacks. You're not going to out-dominate them when it comes from the football standpoint of it. They're going to have most of the ball. But if you can be organised and frustrate them, you'll have opportunities in this game.
I see you nodding, Asasu.
I wanted to ask Nigel a question because he's the football player here. As a player, when you have to play compact and play a defensive game with counter-attacking, which requires so much concentration and physical energy, how do you cope?
It's not great because every footballer wants to play front foot football. You want to play attacking football. Some can adapt to a manager's style if you're going to have to be without the ball. But there's times where if you're playing at the highest level, whether you like it or not, if you want to be defensively organised, you're going to have to rest with the ball. You're going to have to take times when you get the ball, you keep it, you slow the tempo down, you take the sting out of the game, and then you can go forward. But if you know you're going to play a team that's superior than you on paper, they've got the better players, more technically gifted players who are comfortable on the ball, that's just what this game plan will entail for this specific game.
Okay, well, as we know, Scotland-Morocco this evening. 6 o'clock here in this part of the world. 11 o'clock for you back home in the UK. And, of course, it's live on talkSPORT. So are we. And we're back after this.
Well, we're talking about Arsenal because the press are talking about Arsenal.
Squeezed Arsenal into a World Cup show.
You're about to hear. Are you Arsenal in disguise? In the Daily Mail. Yeah, we're going there. We're going there.
Who's written that? Is that you? Is that by Laura Coke-Francis?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's my first line in the Daily
well
Mail.
Done. Congratulations.
The Nation joins Gunners fans in praise of Rice's corners.
Oh, come on. This is... Benty and I were out hobnobbing with the Rich and Famous last night, or maybe Rich and Shameless, and we were talking to Piers Morgan.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And he asked the same question about Declan Rice's corners, and I'm like, He's just taking the corner, the fella.
Mate, no.
I love Declan. You know that.
Hey,
but unless you've got Harry Kane running onto it, a corner's only as good as the finish.
No, well, look at Arsenal been doing all season, and people have criticised Arsenal for that.
You just bullied goalkeepers, just smashed goalkeepers out of the way.
That's totally right. So the hypocrisy here is loud and clear. In the Daily Mail, which I've just messed up there, they're calling it dark arts in praise of the dark arts that England have employed at corners, which we've been very vocal about.
We're not doing those corners at the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Declan's doing outswingers.
Did you see the amount of... So do Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm saying, but when it's an in-swing, everyone's smashing into the keeper. These are outswings. Harry Kane's running onto them.
Now, all the blocks, I saw the blocks the other night, England.
Yeah, so just to be clear, corner's good, but corner's not good when Arsenal do it. In-swing are good, outswing are bad.
Unless Harry Kane's on the end of them,
so safe to say, according to you, and I think I speak on behalf of Arsenal Nation here, I'm not allowing you to enjoy us having corners, if that's all right. So as far as you're concerned, it was 3-2.
I'll speak on the rest of the nation,
Please
right? And I don't like your attitude.
I love it.
Yeah, I the hypocrisy.
No, here's what's going to happen.
Yep.
So you, of course, won't remember, and neither will I, but in 1966, when England won the World Cup, right? Jeff Hurst scored 3 and Martin Peters scored the other one, and Bobby Moore lifted it. And West Ham, for years, were like, West Ham won the World Cup. And this is exactly what you're doing now with Arsenal.
It is exactly what we're doing.
Right.
But
Declan took a corner. Now, I love Declan, so I don't want to say this, but out of everyone that played, who got the lowest marks?
You don't believe that?
I don't believe that.
Declan was very good.
I know he was, but it's Harry Kane. It's Jude Bellingham.
No, the delivery, it's all about the delivery. There's no point Harry Kane being there if the delivery is not on point.
No. Great delivery. If no one's heading it, it doesn't matter.
Arsenal start their Premier League defence at home to promoted Coventry. It's live on talkSPORT on Friday, the 21st of August. And talkSPORT's Darren Bent calls it a dream tie for both sides.
For Coventry, it's an incredible opening day fixture for them. But they know it's going to be difficult. But listen, Frank's done a fantastic job there. So he'll have them set up ready to go. But you'd expect Arsenal to win that.
Xabi Alonso's first game in charge of Chelsea is the West London derby at Fulham. There's a full list at talksport.com. We're told Man City are closing in on signing England's Elliot Anderson. At the World Cup, Iran are complaining to FIFA about their travel restrictions. They're having to fly into America from Mexico on match days as Iran's conflict with the USA rumbles on. Now, Harry Kane's told England's Lions Den podcast he wants Wonderwall to be the soundtrack to England's summer, following that sing-along with fans after the Croatia game.
We know how much it means to them. I think they see how much it means to us. We have that connection right now. But just that moment, singing Wonderwall in the stadium, everyone knew the words, and that was a really special moment, I thought.
England play Ghana live on talkSPORT on Tuesday, and Scotland can reach the knockouts by beating Morocco live on talkSPORT tonight.
It's 2:30 back home in the UK. It's 9:30 here in New York City. And Osasu Obeyuana, African football journalist, that and a whole lot more, is just informing me that it's a public holiday today here in this part of the world. That's why I had a clear route, Osasu, from my hotel to the World Trade Center today, unlike yesterday when I ran into, literally, the strong arm of the law. Nigel Rio-Coker is alongside Simon, and we are talking Scotland-Morocco, amongst other things. Before we do that, let's head to Gabby Partington, who can bring us right up to date with events at the Open Golf. The US Open, of course, being held not far from here. Gabby, it's all yours.
Yeah, the US Open always seems to bring out the worst in players, and with good reason as well, it being one of the toughest tests in golf. But Joaquin Niemann is Exhibit A. Listen to this. The Chilean has become the first player to be penalised under the new code of contact policy, which was actually introduced for majors this year. And that was down to him throwing his club yesterday. Now, Niemann, he made a 9 on the par 4-6. You can imagine his frustrations, but that's now been turned into an 11. Remarkably, he's responded with 3 birdies in his opening 4 holes, still leaving him 6 over with a mountain to climb to make the cut. Meanwhile, Bryson DeChambeau, also battling, the 2024 champion, followed a double bogey at the 3rd with another at the 4th. Just bounced back with a birdie on 5 to get back to 3 over for the championship. So still plenty more work for him to do as well. At the other end of the leaderboard, though, Wyndham Clark, he still has the lead at 6 under par, with Matt Fitzpatrick, Max McGreevy and Dustin Johnson in a tie for second, just 3 shots back.
The US Open on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Buy a used car and you could win the cost of it back this June.
As we mentioned earlier, the World Cup finals well and truly underway. And of course, that doesn't stop the big clubs from doing some transfer business. African football journalist Osasu Oboyuwana is with Nigel, myself, and Simon. What did you make of this, Osasu? You'll be across it. Ivory Coast and Leipzig winger Yan Diomande. Liverpool, big interest, so much so they bid reportedly 100 million euros for this fella, but he ain't going. He ain't going anywhere at this particular time. Leipzig previously indicated that they would seek nearer 130 million euros. What do you think?
Well, you don't expect them to sell them for a price any less than what they would want for him. He's a great talent. Talent comes at a premium nowadays. So let's see what happens. But I would say as well that players should be careful about how they move. You need to be sure that you're moving to the right environment. You need to be sure that the club is going to give you a starting place. You don't want to move to a club for a huge amount of money only to be on the bench and not being given the opportunity to play. So there are many things that he really needs to consider.
He's right. You probably did the same when you played, Nige.
Yeah, for me, my mindset was about game time. You know, when you play more games at a young age, the more you can develop and understand and really be a student of the game. That was the most important thing. But when you're a player, the people you surround yourself around, whether it's your family, your friends, or Simon Jordan's best friend's agents, they have their own alternative. It's not about the player. It's about what they want. And you know, sometimes it can be more about them than actually looking at the right thing for the player. And for another example, it's like Ryan at Bournemouth right now. Had a great season. He's already been linked with different moves. Now, good people around him will say, sign a new contract at Bournemouth, stay there. If you keep doing what you're doing, big clubs will come, you'll get your move. But the problem is, it's people around him now will be like, oh, you got to move here, you got to go there. And they're thinking about themselves more so than the development of the player. You go to a big club, you don't play, you don't continue to develop, then all of a sudden you become forgotten because there's another kid coming along the pipeline.
Sure. Did you used to laugh up your sleeve, Simon, when acquiring a player at Palace, did you have an agent or the player himself say, look, we want guarantees that he's going to play?
Well, if you're going to spend £130 million on a player, I think there's a good chance you're going to be suggesting he's going to be a frontline player. No one's going to give you a guarantee, but what most of us were going to say, whether it's owners or managers, listen, we're spending this kind of money on you, then we expect you to be a frontline player. But notwithstanding that, if you don't perform, you're not going to get any guarantees. But again, I go back to the point. Yeah, I mean, it's great insight to suggest that players tell you what they want to do, but if you're spending £130 million on a player, whichever club you are, then you're buying him to be a mainstay. Of course, in Liverpool's situation, you've got other players like Isak in the mix. That's down to the player's ambition. Every player, Nigel will attest to this, will believe that they're the best thing, and they believe that they'll be in a starting lineup, and they'll believe in themselves. And if they don't, what kind of player are you buying in the first place?
It's true, isn't it, Osasu?
Yeah, and, you know, I don't know, but you can... As a player, I mean, how many, you see, the older you are, the more mature you are as a footballer, the more you're...
Not always.
Okay, but I would
Some take a while to get mature, but it's okay.
In most cases. I am assuming the player is of average or above average intelligence. The older you get, the more you know about the game, the more you're in a position to take decisions without being led in a way that is not informed. When you're young, of course, the caliber of counsel you have is so important, because when you're young, you don't know a lot about the business of football, and you need to have people around you that know the business of football and have your interest at heart as well, not just thinking about, you know, what they're going to get for themselves. And as you said, there are too many people in football who think about the money and what they get before the player, and damage their careers in the end.
Yeah, and there's a heck of a lot of money flying about, Nigel. I mean, this kid, Diamande, he's just a youngster, 19 years of age. And if Liverpool have to go to 130 million euros, 112 million pounds, obviously there's pressure on the kid to do something once he gets there. But also, as Sasu rightly says, with money like that floating around and about him, he's got to have the right people around him.
That's the problem, though.
Did you always?
I mean, for me, I was always someone that was had a thirst for knowledge. You know, I'd always learn about it and everything. You interact with people. Like I said, I interacted with Simon, so I knew what kind of owner he is and type of personality he was. Obviously, it didn't work out. And I always wanted to be the best I can be. And I always learned from a young age, you're only valuable the more games you play. I know the importance about it. I've had friends who've had their kids go into football, and you try and give them advice and tell them about the journey. It's not always great to be at one of the big clubs. You know, take your youngster, go in, put him into one of the League One, League Two clubs, let him work hard, let him understand the rough and toughness of the game, and that would suit him better than just being another number at a big club, because a big club will just continue to churn out players and understand the value of playing first team football as quickly as you can, because then your value raises. And some of these parents don't see that and understand it, because all they see is money, money, money. Then you've got parents who become agents now, and uncles who are agents and walking around with Louis Vuitton briefcase, but they know nothing about.
And that can be a terrible mix, can't it?
Well, it's a balance. I mean, it's impenetrable. Young players are influenced more by what's going on in the dressing room to some extent, and advice that's being given by other people than sometimes they've been. I used to have conversations with young players all the time, because ironically, I had the best interests of them at heart. I remember, and I'm going to use Wayne Routledge as an example, I remember saying to Wayne, don't go to Tottenham. You learn your trade here. You're not going to be a secret. Footballers aren't secrets. And if you back yourself, then stay here, learn your trade. And if you don't back yourself, then run to Spurs and get the money. And the same with John Bostock. And they both did. And I'm not sure it worked out particularly well for them. The difficulty is that they mature. And they mature and they become more worldly. There's two things that happens to players. They grow up and they become a little bit less institutionalised, and they start to see the world for themselves rather than the closeted environment of being told everything's wonderful for them and they're wonderful. And the second thing is they don't like paying agents' fees or having any consequence to themselves. So they become more worldly in that respect and go, well, I don't really want to give up 10% of my salary if I can possibly, but I'll try and make the club pay as much of it I can. But some of it's coming my way under the benefit of kind aid.
Sasu, while we have you here, you've got to tell me if there's any developments on this Ivory Coast striker, El Wahi. Have I got that right? El Wahi. He will be allowed into Canada for the Ivory Coast second World Cup game tomorrow against Germany, having previously been denied entry. Now, you'll be across this. It's understood he'd been arrested on suspicion of match-fixing offences less than 2 weeks before the World Cup, but he hadn't been charged with any crime. And yesterday, the Ivory Coast Federation confirmed he hadn't been permitted entry to Canada for their match against Germany because of the administrative authorizations required for his entry into Canadian territory. But then the situation apparently changed, and now he will be allowed into Canada. Where are we at with this? I mean, again, once more, it should always be a case of innocent until proven guilty, whatever the perceived crime, shouldn't it?
Yes, but Canada are at liberty to deny you entry or to allow you entry. When they denied him entry, unlike in the case of Ghana, where they cocked up everything in terms of how they managed it, the Ivorians have done it a little bit better. They've obviously had to appeal against the decision, and they've been able to get the decision reversed. So that's it. He's going to play, and that's that.
Yeah. I mean, the authorities, obviously, in Canada, certainly here in the US, they're on it, are they not, Nigel?
Canada don't mess about when it comes to their border. I've had to deal with it because I lived in Vancouver and Montreal as well, so I've had experience with both border patrols, and the Canadians do not mess about when it comes to being legitimate to enter their country in certain things, whether it's criminal cases or things in the background.
Yeah.
They're very aware of everything.
No, I just want to tell a story. Many years ago, I was on the Canadian side of the border, and I walked across to the US side, and I forgot that I didn't have my passport in my pocket. So when I was, so I now remember, oh God, I've gone over to the other side and I want to go back to the Canadian side and I don't have any documentation. And I got to the Canadian side and I told them, look, I'm sorry, I just forgot my passport in the car. And the border guard just looked at me for a minute, just shook his head and said, just go. I don't know if that would happen now.
I doubt that would happen now. Certainly in view of what Nigel's saying anyway. Anyway, the player is in and he will represent Ivory Coast when he gets the opportunity tomorrow against Germany. Of course, that is then and this is now. And right now, we're coming up to 9:45 in the morning here in New York City. The sun's coming up. It's going to be another cracker here. And we are live on talkSPORT.
Talking about Jude Bellingham, because of his talent, because of his ability, Kyle, he's often the focus of attention, isn't he? I mean, tell us, I mean, you've been in the same dressing room as him. What's he like as a person?
No, he's good, and I think he carries a lot of weight on his shoulders for such a young boy. I think people probably forget how young he is. Obviously, he's gone on from leaps and bounds from Birmingham City to Dortmund to now playing for, you know, one of, if not the biggest clubs in the world. But I was saying it before, I think Morgan Rogers is a great player. I played with him at City. He's done unbelievable for Villa. But I just think in them moments, Jude Bellingham probably pips him just because of the big game moments, and last night proved that.
Yeah. How good is he? Because you've been in training with him, you played with him. Because when we watch him, I just see someone who can score left foot, right foot. I see someone who can get box to box, good in the air. Looks like the complete player.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's an all-rounder. He can tackle, he can defend, he can attack, he scores goals. As you just said, left, right foot, he's got an engine on him. Is he a silky number 10 that we're probably used to seeing in the Premier League? Probably not. He's more of a powerhouse, but, you know, in these conditions that they're playing the World Cup in like this, it could work to our advantage with having him, Declan and, you know, Anderson, that all have good engines on them and then can get up and down the pitch.
Does it ever get to him, the sort of criticism that he gets, the media attention that he gets?
I think probably it does. I think probably it does some way, but I don't think you can let it get to you. I think when you're a big football player like that with a name that you've got, obviously you're going to hear and you're going to see. People are going to tell you what people are saying, but you know, you have to take that pressure. You're Jude Bellingham. You're Jude Bellingham, and you've got that pressure on your shoulder. You're playing for Real Madrid and also representing England in the number 10 jersey, so you've got to deal with it.
We've seen a few months ago, there were journalists saying that he shouldn't be involved because there was reports that Jude Bellingham makes the old...
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
We're live in New York. Of course, we're live in the UK as well, 10-3 back home in the UK. Let's find out what's going on at the Oval. Let's find out from Sam. England, New Zealand, the second test. What's happening, Sam?
Yeah, Jim, day 3, England got plenty of work to do. England bowled out right at the end of the morning session for 291, which meant that New Zealand have a lead of exactly 100 runs. So England have to be pretty good with ball in hand. They got off to a really good start in the third innings of this game, getting in New Zealand to 28 for 2, a couple of early wickets, one for Jofra Archer, Tom Latham edging behind on 4, then Josh Tongue getting Devon Conway going for a booming drive, and there was an outside edge too. Second slip, Harry Brook, but things for New Zealand over the last half an hour or so have just settled down a little bit. Henry Nichols playing instead of Kane Williamson at 3 has got 21 runs to his name. Rachi Ravindra has had a quiet series so far, not out on 7. So England, Jim, going to need wickets and quick wickets to get themselves back in this game. We are midway through the afternoon session on day 3 of this test match. The sun is shining at the Oval. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to be this Friday afternoon. New Zealand are 48 for 2. That's for the lead of 148 runs.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. The sun is shining here in New York City. Nigel Reo-Coker alongside African football journalist Osasu Obeyiwana, and of course Simon beside me. And Nigel, you were saying Simon's dress sense very much inspires you to go out and get yourself a couple of suits once you leave us here in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, I have to go and buy some suits now. You know, I have a reputation for back in my playing days of being known as AKA Mr. Tom Ford, and I see Simon here coming. Hey, I used to wear Tom Ford before he became Tom Ford because he was designing for Gucci first.
He was?
You know.
All right.
So then he became Tom Ford. So my entire wardrobe is Tom Ford, and I've seen Simon come here looking nice and everything.
Looking
been inspired.
Right.
The business.
But what about me? What about Osasu, our dress sense? Any inspiration from us?
I'll let Simon take that one.
Thank you very much, Nigel. Here we go, though. Osasu, earlier on in the tournament, the man at the top of UEFA, the president, Alexander Seferin, he came in for a bit of stick. You'll probably recall it. He looks at the World Cup, 48 nations, says we have a lot of matches that are completely uninteresting. On the other hand, even small countries can participate and feel the pulse of the World Cup, which is a big thing. Yes, it is. But I mean, the expanded World Cup, Cape Verde went out and drove a wedge through that argument, didn't they?
Yes, but I still think Cape Verde would have qualified even if you had 32 teams. They're that good. Cape Verde knocked out Cameroon, 5-time champions of Africa, from playing in the AFCON in 2013. A lot of people have been so shocked with how well Cape Verde have been doing. I'm not surprised because I've seen how they've developed over the last 10 years. And the world may not have noticed, but I have. So I'm not surprised that they are doing well. Their coach was voted African Coach of the Year last year. I mean, the Cape Verde team is a team that is greater than the sum of its parts. They don't have big superstars, but they are disciplined, they're tactically aware, the coach is tactically sound. And I have said it even in The Guardian before now that this team will humiliate or embarrass any team that disrespects them because they're from a small country. Make no mistake with that.
And I think that's great, Nigel.
I think it is fantastic. And, you know, these comments that we keep hearing from these people in powers of position and with a lot of responsibility, I think are very naive and silly. I look at Cape Verde's performance, I agree with everything that you said, and the reality of it is, it's a word that Simon uses a lot that I love, ambition. There's nothing wrong with ambition, and what Cape Verde have done is, they've done it the right way. They've set the foundation up, they've built it the right way with the money that they've received from FIFA. There isn't the word corruption that it goes on in a lot of African nations in how they go about their business. That is why Morocco is doing well. That is why Senegal and Ivory Coast is doing well, because they've actually reinvested that money to develop the youth, to have a real foundation where players ain't paying for other players to go and play for the national team, with all these different stories that you can find from legends who've played the game in the Premier League will tell you about their experiences for their national team.
Sure.
And I think they deserve the credit, because we grew up in a generation of watching where the powerhouse of African football were Nigeria, Cameroon, and obviously Ghana, but Ghana are in this World Cup. But they were the two nations that are the real powerhouses of African football, and they're not there because things haven't been done the right way. They haven't continued to develop. They stood still, however these organisations are run. But I look at these nations and what they've done and how they've gone about it, and I'm not surprised in the way that they're competing, the level that they're competing now. Because you talk about the dual nationals and these players now who are more willing to go and play for Ivory Coast and Cape Verde and all these things than likes of playing for France and all these other nations. And that was done also the likes of Didier Drogba and all these players setting that foundation and tone.
Yeah, but going back to your original question, I do agree with Seferin on one thing. The 48-team World Cup is too big. It's too big. It shouldn't be more than 32. The World Cup is a tournament for the elite. It is not a tournament for everyone. So I don't see any reason why it should be more than 32.
Do you agree with that, Simon? I mean, who would miss out?
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that will change. I think it might even get bigger, the World Cup. I think you might see it change into a Swiss League sort of formation that's been so successful in other environments. These things might change over time because the commerciality of the World Cup and the opportunities that it presents create such outcomes. I look at the source of the observation with Seferin and his motivations. This is a man that's created 3 tournaments in European football to shoehorn as many teams as he possibly can into football. A man that's expanded the European Championships to be able to get some of the lesser nations of Europe in. When Wenger talked about a couple of years ago with me in Switzerland about the idea of the World Cup, they wanted a biannual World Cup, which I think is wrong. I think scarcity is a big part of selling something.
Yes, it is.
But I also think that the funding of the game, this is the big argument I constantly have, not about justification behind the FIFA's policy of ticketing, but if it is an NFP and its purpose in life is to fuel the ecosystem, then the more money it generates, the more opportunities it has to develop the pathways for lesser countries, which then creates better players, which then creates a food chain of players, which means that all the best players in the world don't land up at a small amount of clubs because the rosters can't consume them. So the lesser than clubs can have this new pool of players. So whilst I concur in essence with the idea that the World Cup has gotten bigger and perhaps bigger than the uniqueness of a World Cup that should feature the best nations in the world, there are rhymes and reasons behind it, and I don't think it's going to stop there. Okay. I think it will get bigger still.
I think at the moment we seem to know the price of everything and the value of nothing, and that's not good. That's not good for football. We need to have a balance. We need to have a balance between the money side of the game and the principles and essence of the game.
But then also, if you look at the World Cup, there's only really been 2 real lopsided results. You know, people have said, oh, Spain were going to walk over Cape Verde and they're going to destroy them 6-7-0. It didn't happen. You know, it's only Curacao and obviously Qatar yesterday to Canada. We've only really seen 2 lopsided results with all the games that we've seen.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
But wouldn't it be preferable to, that qualification is straightforward? It's 32, 16, 8, 4 and 2. When you have this system, who is third here? How do you calculate this? It's too unwieldy.
It's very generous, but again, it's the financial side of it. You know, you look at the water breaks now that we're seeing, the water breaks, they're done not for the benefit of the players, but definitely to make finance.
But you say that, and I understand that point, and I've made the point about commercialisation. We spend all year listening to people tell us that the players going into a World Cup in the summer are exhausted. So anything that might have commercialisation attached to it, but is also adaptable to the well-being of the players, can't be a disadvantage. We're told all year, when a summer tournament comes around, the players are exhausted, they're flogged all season. So when you've got this facility of having a break during the middle of a game, why do we look at the cynical side of things, just backing about commercialisation? Because there's a resistance, because it's in America, and Americans are all about monetising things. But the reality of the game is, a break in the middle of it, if it's prepared for properly and the coaches do their jobs rather than allow it as an excuse because the momentum's gone out of the game, they do it properly, the players are preserved.
OK, 10 o'clock here in New York, talking about breaks, we're going to take one. Osasu, you're going to leave us at this stage, so too is Nigel. Thanking you. What's your weekend ahead? What's it looking like?
Taking it as easy as possible and enjoying New York, even though I have a World Cup to cover.
Quite right. Nicely put. Nigel Reo-Coker, Simon Jordan, the Croydon reunion was both touching and emotional. You two going to meet up when this is all over? You're going to come over and take Simon for a very smart meal one night?
Hopefully he'll forgive me for not signing for him. I'll pay the bill.
There you go.
You pay the bill when he...
I'll take him Chick-fil-A. At least I'm going to take him to a restaurant, didn't I?
What you're missing out on, he's desperately disappointed because they thought they were going to confect some outrage because they know that you didn't like some of the observations I made about Wilfred Nancy and you wanted to hold your position. And the fact that you and I came in together was a desperate disappointment to Luke.
I still held my position and he held his.
Nigel, you've been brilliant, mate. I can tell you, in truth, you will end up paying the bill, as I did last night. And Simon ate more than any of
That is as rare as Scotch mist, I can assure you.
There you go. Scotland, Morocco later. Osasu, thank you again for your company. Osasu, of course, Guardian and African football journalist, a great writer at that. Nigel, we've enjoyed your company, mate. It's no surprise to me why the Americans lapped you up and wanted to snap you up and get you on their tellies over here. Thank you so much for being with us. We are coming up. We're already there. 3 o'clock UK, 10 a.m. here in New York.
I've got to speak to you about England then. Obviously, of course, the result the other day. Really good second half performance. First and foremost, what did you make of the performance? And some people are saying it's the best half of football they've seen England play in years.
Well, what I was really impressed with, there's two things. The turnaround in the second half, and you saw Harry Kane, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham all come out speaking glowingly about the manager's team talk at half-time. So that's an absolute massive, massive, massive plus, because a manager that's very aggressive, he's punchy, and he ain't going to go out trying to stay in a game. He's going to go out trying to win a game, and if it doesn't happen, he ain't going to be for the want of trying. And the second thing is, his aggressive substitutions and really decisive substitutions in the second half late on, where normally you see a lot of managers go, we're going to protect this lead. He's saying, no, I've got my foot on their throat and we're going to finish them off. And I love that. And if that's going to be the way we go about this tournament, we're going to have a good time.
I totally agree with you. I said that, actually. Do you think that's the difference between what Southgate would have done and maybe bring on like a Calvin Phillips, a holder, to make sure we didn't lose the game?
Yeah, Southgate and a lot of other managers have done that. And I think that was probably when you're looking back now, it's a great thing having hindsight, but our Achilles heel probably, even though we've got further than any team since '66 in these last couple of tournaments, we still were playing at times, it felt, with the shackles on or the handbrake half up in the critical moments, in the biggest moments for England in these big games. And so with that comes kind of apprehension and a bit of anxiousness when you're watching those games, right? And Benty, you've been in them England squads, yeah? A lot of the guys in them teams and as a unit, as a team, as well as individuals, we were scared to lose games. And
Talk Sport.
3 minutes past 3. Good afternoon. History beckons for Scotland tonight in Boston. A win against Morocco would take them into the World Cup knockouts for the first time ever. Captain Andy Robertson says they have the best fans in the world.
They just carry themselves so well, and I think just every city they go in and every people they meet, they just fall in love with them, and that's the biggest compliment I can give them. But you know, on Saturday they were magnificent for us in the stadium as well, and I know they'll be the same again.
Much to Jim White's dismay, Fabian Hertzler's backing Morocco.
I think that they have really good togetherness in their squad. They played really good AFCON, and now I think they're ranked 7th in the FIFA world ranking list, so I think we have to take them serious, and I'm really impressed by them.
Achraf Hakimi is expected to lead out his team in Boston. Today, French prosecutors have confirmed he will stand trial for rape of an allegation in 2023. At the Oval, England's batters left their bowlers with work to do after being bowled out for 291 this morning. But Joe Root's quick men have got them back just about in the battle. Sam Ellard.
Yeah, 2 early wickets, but the score now 58 for 2, and Rachin Ravindra dropped on 7. Josh Tongue inducing a drive from the left-handed bat. Thick edge flies to James Rew's left. The wicket-keeper dives to his left-hand side. He has the ball in his glove after diving, but it pops back out. So a life for Rachin Ravindra. At the other end, Henry Nicholls got 23 runs to his name. Latham and Conway were the 2 early England wickets. New Zealand 58 for 2. That's for the lead of 158 runs.
Thank you, Sam. Elsewhere, Mary Earps has signed for London City Lionesses, and England winger Emmanuel Faye-Weboso will start for Exeter Chiefs in tomorrow's Gallagher Prem final against Northampton Saints. That's despite returning less than 3 weeks after jaw surgery, which he had after an injury against Leicester Tigers.
Talk Sport News.
At least one crocodile attacked a 3-year-old boy who ended up in an enclosure at a zoo in Cambridgeshire, and 2 men have been jailed over arson attacks linked to the Prime Minister, orchestrated from Russia. More with Emma at past.
Talk Sport weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
The UK is pretty much split down the middle. A band of rain across Scotland, the northwest and Northern Ireland. Dry in the Midlands and the southeast. Temperatures high teens in Scotland, mid-20s in Northern England and pushing 30 in the south.
Hi everybody, we're live in New York. It's 6 minutes past 3 over in the UK. It's just 6 minutes past 10 in the morning in this part of the world, and the sun is coming out. It's going to be another hot one here in New York City. Delighted to welcome to our studio base in the 50th floor of the World Trade Center a gentleman who joins us on a regular basis on White and Jordan back at London Bridge, of course, especially when we talk boxing. You've guessed it, talkSPORT and DAZN host, who wears the boxing hat and in this instance, the football hat as well. Adi Oladipo joins us live here in New York. How are you, my friend?
Good, good. I've had to, as you say, I've had to wear both hats, but we've parked the boxing hat for a couple of weeks and we've firmly put on the football hat to cover this massive World Cup. And it does feel like,
right.
Massive World Cup. I heard you guys talking about the amount of teams, and it does feel a lot. I feel like I'm having to dig deep into my football knowledge to kind of know who these teams are and some of the players that play for the teams. But it's been good. I've enjoyed it. It's been good.
You've been to a couple of the games I was at.
Yeah.
Simon and I were at Brazil-Morocco.
Yeah.
Then I went to France-Senegal. What's been your perception of it so far, Adi? How are they handling it here?
I've enjoyed it. I think it's been good. I'm based sort of right in the heart of New York City, so it's not really felt like football's here yet, if I'm honest with you. Maybe that's because of the NBA championship, obviously the Knicks winning, and it's all been about the Knicks. But it was good to see the Brazilians turn up, and I certainly have seen their fan base here, and the Scots, by the way. I'm surrounded by Scots as well, Jim, so if you come after with me, I think they'll love you. But I think it's been good. I was waiting to see how it all looked from an organisational standpoint. Like, are they going to be smooth with it? Are we going to get to the stadium and is there going to be no issues getting in and accreditation's going to be good? And everything's been fine. Sometimes I feel like we like to find fault. And if you dig deep enough, you will find fault. But I think they've handled it well. I think the crowds have got in. There's been no trouble. There's been no noise. I think fans have mixed with each other. And I have found it quite enjoyable.
It's fair to say, though, Simon, we got into games in Qatar a heck of a lot more easily than we have done here.
Different infrastructure, in fairness. But I haven't been, listen, it's a limited experience. The one game that I went to, which was at the MetLife, I wasn't impressed with the ability to get onto the footprint at the stadium and the manner in which they heralded people into the stadium. You had an even more difficult experience, I think, in the second game with Senegal and France, where people were being kettled into that walkway that goes from the footprint of the stadium into the actual stadium. I haven't been enamoured with it, but it kind of fool's errand to suggest that a purpose-built set of stadiums that were built with unbridled, unlimited wealth from the Qataris primarily and solely, and it's specifically for the World Cup, and they're probably sitting there now as white elephants with no activity in them, is a fair comparison to where we are in the American setup. But notwithstanding that, the Americans like to tell us how they are the world leader in most things. I'm not entirely sure they're the world leader in designing stadiums and getting people in and out of them.
Sure. No, there's certainly aspects of the tournament they have to work on. Of that, there is no doubt. It's been interesting, Adi, the media, of course, here in enormous numbers from all over the world, of course. Many photographers have been looking at Thomas Tuchel and lining up in front of him and thinking, is he going to sing the national anthem or is he not? Hence, banks of photographers the other night when England took on Croatia, standing right in front of Tuchel, so much so that he couldn't see his players as they sang the national anthem. And Tuchel has called on FIFA to move photographers away from the technical areas to avoid his view of his team being blocked. This was Tuchel on that.
And I have to tell you something, I'm begging FIFA to change the position of the photographers in the national anthem, because I could not see my team in the national anthem, and I was waiting for this moment. It was a very, very special moment today, and I was standing in front of a wall of 50 photographers, half a meter away, and I could not see one single player, and it ruined a little bit my experience today. It is very emotional. Yeah, this is a very, very big ask and a great honor, and it's very emotional. And since yesterday, I felt the spirit and what it means to be part of a World Cup is just amazing, and I felt very, very alive the last 2 days, and didn't want to be anywhere else in the world than here.
I really like what he said there, Andy. I mean, FIFA have responded, incidentally. They've tweaked the protocol and they've asked photographers to bunch closer together so that the coaches can get a view of their players. At Wembley, funnily enough, Andy, not that I've studied this, but the photographers are positioned between the two dugouts, and that gives the coaches of both teams a clear view of their players. And that's what he wants.
Yeah, and it makes sense as well. Look, firstly, I don't know why, I mean, Simon kind of just said this off air as well. I don't know why he needs to see the players during the national anthem. I mean, is he hoping, like, they just, I don't know, chest up and scream from their voices and he can tell who's really up for it? But yeah, they're far too close. It's silly. But this is the World Cup as well. This is the pinnacle of football. There are going to be some things that he's not going to like and some things that, unfortunately, are just part and parcel of a big tournament. In America, everything's bigger, everything's louder, and everything's more boisterous.
Yeah.
But yeah, having seen it, and then, like you said, having watched sort of Champions League games and FA Cup finals, it's so different. And why do they need to be that close?
Yeah.
I think they have the lenses where they could get the same shot from a mile away. I mean, they've got these lenses that cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. I don't know why you feel like you need to stand 2 feet away from something.
That's a good point. It's all part of this thing being staged here, Simon. Half-time interviews. It's media demands. Half-time interviews, hydration breaks.
You're all for that, aren't you? You've spent forever telling me that's a valuable position.
What, the half-time interviews?
Oh, yeah, no,
It's
he's well
horrible.
for that.
No, it's horrible.
He'd have them he'd have cameras in the toilets if he could.
I don't... That I think's... It's awful, that. Because you have a player that clearly just needs... How long do they get with their manager? 5-10 minutes?
That's not a World Cup phenomenon.
That's happened before.
That's not an American phenomenon. That's been a driving ideal because more access, more information, more content, more bang for your buck. And that's what the broadcasters want. And it's up to football to either say it wants it or it doesn't want it. I've never believed that it's appropriate. I think that the half-time is for players to get themselves together. It's to listen to instructions and not to be briefing the media. But then who pays the piper?
Well, that's it, Simon.
Who pays the piper?
And you get the economics of it.
Who pays the piper? There's a balance. There's a trade-off. It doesn't mean you have to give it to them.
Yeah. Incidentally, as we look ahead, not only to Scotland, Morocco, a whole bunch of other games catch the eye. One of those being the USA, of course, who are up against Australia. Both those nations made a winning start. So it's time for this.
talkSPORT Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Yeah, time for Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. I don't know what you think, Addy, but this one I think is mouth-watering. Australia up against the host nation, the USA. I think this will be a belter of a game.
It's, for some reason, I don't know how this has happened, but it's got spicy as well.
Yeah.
I've seen sort of former players from both go at each other. I've seen former managers go at each other. And I'm like, where's this come from? I mean, it's normally us Brits against the Aussies or us Brits against America. So it's weird to see sort of our two enemies, if you like, go against each other like this. But look, two good footballing sides. I think Mauricio Pochettino and what he's done with this USA side in the last 12 months has been good. The biggest compliment I guess I can give to this USA side is that I can probably name the starting 11. And that wasn't a thing of yesteryear.
That's a good point.
Yeah. You know who the players are. Yeah. You know a lot of the players, and obviously a lot of the players have played top Champions League football, so they've got a good side.
Sure.
And the Australians are tough, aren't they? The Australians are strong, and they've always been a strong sport nation. And now, finally, we're starting to see a new golden generation of young players come through with the experienced ones they've got. So look, it's a good game, and it's two teams now that now will fancy themselves getting out of the group.
Yeah, I fancy this game, Simon. I reckon this will have plenty to look back upon over the 90 minutes.
I mean, no one expected Australia to beat Turkey, though.
No.
Irrespective of whether they're coming. Obviously, the generation that had John Aloisi, that had Harry Kewell, that had Timmy Cahill, Lucas Neal, and so on and so forth, and Viduka and whatever else, was a very significant one. And Bosnich, obviously. But I look at this and say it's a game that has intrigue. I think some of the rivalry has been built up by the media observations. I think there's one particular media commentator that's made some strong observations about the Australians that people have picked up on. But it's a game that both teams won't want to lose. I don't think it's critical that either one of them wins. So you might find yourself in a game where there's less of an inclination when it gets deeper in the game, if the game is being drawn, for people to really go at it, because a point will do both sides relatively well, I think.
I think that media member you're referring to, I think you called it a layup.
He did,
when asked about should the USA win, he called it a layup, and I think was it Schwarzer that kind of respectfully went back at him Obviously, a layup's the easiest thing you can do in the NBA when it comes to scoring a point. So I think they think this is an easy game.
Yeah. Well, you can watch that game. You can watch the games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find out your nearest at villagehotels.com. Plus, for a chance to win a Village Hotel VIP experience for the World Cup final at a Village Hotel near you, head to talksport.com/competitions.
talkSPORT Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Now, earlier in the show, we asked the all-important question. Who was faster in their pomp? Kyle Walker or Gabby Agbonlahor? Well, talkSPORT's Anil Kandala was at the talkSPORT fan zone at Villa Park last night for England against Croatia, and he put that question to some of the fans in attendance.
It's a tough call, but I'd go for Gabby. He was awesome, and no defender wants anybody with that pace running at them. So I'd go for Gabby.
Quicker than Kyle Walker?
I think so. Yeah, I do. And I'm sure Gabby would agree with me.
Gabby. Well, he used to dart across the field, didn't he? I think he's better than Kyle, to be honest.
Well, we had Kyle on loan for us for many years ago, and he was quick, but Gabby was quicker.
And there you go. It might be a little bit unfair because Gabby Agbonlahor is in that building behind me, but it seems that Gabby's got the vote.
Right, the rest of the world. He actually spoke to about 100 people who were there, but we only decided to show 3. Okay,
I clipped that up for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? When I think about Kyle, when I go back to that game, Kyle, of like I think it might be Germany at Wembley, and you was right side of the 3, but like you was all the way in the right back position, and I was at the game, mate, and you come sprinting across, mate. Someone was through on goal. I can't remember who it was. It was Muller, yeah. I'm like, where has this guy come from? And you've done that for the last 15, 16 years, mate. Your centre-half pairings with England and Manchester City must have been looking at you thinking like, okay, maybe I can leave a bit of space in behind, because you would always just come out of nowhere and cover.
Yeah, I think that was what my game was based on. You know, I probably didn't create that much going forward with assists and stuff. I chipped in with a few, but not as much as probably what I should have done. So my main game when I got a little bit older was to make sure I can cover the back.
Incredible.
Here's a great suggestion. Jill's a regular contributor. She says, why not get both of them in the car park? Said, my money's on Kyle.
Just about, yeah.
You know football.
I'll have to kick him first.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Adi Oladipo. We are live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Fast Track delivers to you from 30 minutes. First stop, Toolstation. Of course, we're live on YouTube as well, so many of you back home in the UK have been getting in touch, commenting on the quite spectacular view that we have here from the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. Adi, I know when you come in here, it takes your breath away, doesn't it?
It's incredible. I silly enough, didn't know how many trade centers there were. And Luke didn't, the producer, just said World Trade Center. So I felt like I was knocking on every door. And then obviously I found out it was number 4 World Trade Center. But no, it is incredible. It kind of does take your breath away being this high up as well. What a view this is, by the way.
It's amazing.
Who scouted this? This is incredible.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, incredible.
I think we have Emma and Scott somewhere out there who have a lot to do with that. Let's put your boxing hat on for a moment, Adi. 1 week away from Jaron Boots Ennis against Xander Zayas. Zayas is going to defend his WBO and WBA World Junior Middleweight titles against Boots Ennis. I love the name alone, but he can fight, can't he?
Yeah.
Right here in New York next Saturday, and it's live in DAZN. What we're going to see here, can anyone beat old Boots?
I'm not sure. He's a very, very good talent. I think he could be a pound-for-pound fighter. The only reason he's not is because he doesn't have the resume. But I don't see 10 fighters better than him. I think he's sensational. But let's see it. This is the acid test at 154 pounds. Xander Zayas is unbeaten. It's almost a case of Boots coming into Zayas' backyard. There's going to be a lot of Puerto Ricans there. They've been wanting to get behind someone. Obviously, Amanda Serrano's been doing so well for Puerto Rico. But in terms of a male fighter, they haven't had anyone really to get behind since Miguel Cotto. And that's a long time ago. So now they've got one. And it's a fight between, arguably, because he has 2 belts, the number 1 154-pounder versus the would-be king. So something's got to give. As they say, someone's always got to go. 2 very talented, young, unbeaten fighters.
It's not often, Simon, I hear you say, yeah, I am 100% going to that. It's almost in the don't miss category for you, is it?
Oh, yes. I mean, now, listen, this is a fight that I would have liked to have seen Zayas fighting Josh Kelly.
Yeah.
But because of contractual situations and needing to keep Boots Ennis happy and satisfied with his respective promoters, they've made this fight all day, Boots Ennis. This is a coming out parade. This is an elite fighter at an elite level, and I don't expect it to be a fight that he loses. I expect him to be putting on a real performance. Whether he stops him, different matter, because he's very resilient, Zayas, but notwithstanding it, Boots Ennis is a top. He's right up there with the best fighters in the world. He doesn't have it right now in terms of anointment. He's just about to have it.
Is this one, Adi, that the A-listers here in New York will turn out for?
100%. This is, as soon as this was made and announced, initially we hoped it would have been Boots versus Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz obviously going through his own issues with Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya. This is a very good second to that. Xander Zayas will bring the fans, but I almost feel like the fans will leave cheering the name of Boots Ennis, just because we are looking at someone I think can eventually go through the weight classes as well. He has the build of someone that we could see in a couple of years at 160, if not 168, very much like what Terence Crawford has done. Boxing's looking for a face over here still, a superstar name, and it could be this guy. Obviously, there's Shakur Stevensons of the world, Devin Haney's, but he could be that face. Doesn't really say much, does a lot of his talking in the ring, but if you're Eddie Hearn, you're hoping that you get that superstar American that you can just get on the back with and the fans start to gravitate towards, and it could be him if he gets the job done like I think he will, like Simon does.
And Ben Whittaker on an undercard, Adi, what a great opportunity for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Let the Americans see him. Ben's got an American fan base. The Brits, we don't really like the showboating stuff sometimes, which I think he has slowed down a lot under Andy Lee, but the Americans love it. They love that kind of stuff, and let's see what he can do. Let's see. I think he's co-main event as well, so he'll be out there in front of a crowd of about 18,000. There's a bit of pressure because he's got to look good, and there's a lot of talk about when he does come back to the UK, he fights Anthony Yard. That's one that's been mentioned. Andy Lee desperately wants it. Simon, you're smirking. Do you have any inside information? I know you had Yard on your show the other day.
Yeah, I did. I think that's early for Ben to go in against Anthony Yard. I think that's very, very early.
It is, but sometimes you've got to let them go. Ben's not a spring chicken. I mean, look,
Let's stick him in against Craig Richards or someone of that nature.
Someone of that nature before. I think they maybe look at Anthony Yard. I certainly don't. as almost someone that's been finished off by David Benavidez. I still think there's a lot left. You see what David Benavidez has done to other people like Zerdo, and Yard lasted a few more rounds. So, yeah, it's going to be good to see Ben. Good luck to him. I think I'm doing a walk and talk with Ben in a few days in New York.
Excellent.
So it'll be interesting to see if anyone knows who he is over here. But they will come next week, Saturday.
Addy, if AJ fights Fury, there is talk that it could be here in the USA and not in the UK. Would that be a sellout to British fans?
Absolutely. 100%. And look, there's two arguments here. If I'm putting up the money, i.e. if I'm Turkey, I put the fight on where I want to put the fight on. I've paid for it. So ultimately I can do what I want, because if you don't want to pay them 100 million each, let's just say, and I'm doing it, I can put this on Mars. But to British fight fans who have paid hard coin to follow both of those guys for the best part of 15 years and have supported both for the best part, it's got to be in the UK for me. It really does. And I know there's a lot of talk about a 2-fight deal and one over here in Vegas. And no one knows what happens with the first fight. The first fight will indicate or tell us whether or not there's going to be a second fight. The first fight should be at Wembley Stadium, but a lot of money can be made here in Vegas. One thing Americans always like to talk about with fights over here is the gate receipts, because they will make so much money, but that's relying on the Brits to travel. And I think that's unfair on the Brits. That it really is. You almost force them to travel.
They would travel.
Of course they would. It's AJ and Tyson Fury. If anyone's going to travel, it's their two fan bases. But it should be at Wembley Stadium. I mean, you have two British fighters, and I feel very patriotic with this. You should have the British flag in front of me waving. Two British fighters should be fighting in Britain. It should be. It's the biggest British fight of all time.
Simon, well, then lay the outrage at the fighter's door, because the scale of the fight is about money. They're not fighting for anything. Listen, all this about legacy and what it leads to, this is about a race to the bank. They know they can monetize this fight significantly. And so with that in mind, I don't begrudge them making money, but let's not lay the outrage at the person that's funding the fight in terms of Turki Al-Sheikh or whoever steps into the ring, whether it's Dana or whatever else that claims the glory for making this fight. The fighters want to get paid X amount of money. The scale isn't in the UK. The scale isn't in the gate receipts anyway. I mean, let's have it right. If you put 90,000 people in even at Wembley, the scale isn't. These fighters don't want £20 million. That's the gate receipts if you put it at Wembley. At the very best, it's £20 million at Wembley. So where's the money coming from? The money's coming from the broadcasters and or the people that are putting the money up for the fight for their own alternate motivations. Turkey's laid a pathway. Dana's taking all the noise, but behind it is Seller and Turki Al-Sheikh. The money's in the room, so he'll put it where he wants. So if you want to take any outrage at anybody, take it at the fighters. They're the ones that need to be paid £75 million each, apparently. They're the ones that are ultimately demanding what they get out of it, and I don't blame them for it, but let's not splattergun the confected outrage about where it should and shouldn't be. If the scale of the fight, if the size of the fight is worth 50 million quid, and all you can get in the UK is 50 million quid, that's the size of the fight.
It's hard to disagree with. It's almost impossible to disagree with that, I think, Addy.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's right. The blame lies at the foot of the fighters. Ultimately, if someone's saying to them, look, you can fight at Wembley for 25 million or you can fight elsewhere for 50, it's up to them to decide, OK, no, we're going to do it. We're going to be patriotic like Ade's screaming for and have the fight in the UK for 25. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Or we campaign the so-called saviour of boxing with all the best principles in mind and all the values of the fans, because we've heard it, he's given away tickets to the cab drivers. Campaign to Turkey, say, hang on a second, I thought you were for what's right for boxing. And what's right for boxing...
He will say what's right for boxing is making the fight. He will say that. I've made the fight when no one could for a decade. So... that's what I'm doing, what I can to make the fight.
But you can pay the same money.
Addy, thank you so very much. I might see you, my friend, at Boots Ennis against Xander Zayas.
If Simon can't get you a ticket, I will, Jim. If Simon doesn't want it, I'll help you.
What a very
that's
kind
okay. No,
gesture.
that's okay.
What I'm not going to do is turn up ticketless and jump a barrier.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Not next weekend. You're off to Canada.
I'm off to Canada in about 4 hours.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Stop that cab. The name's Oladipo. Addy, thank you so much for joining us. We're at 3:30, the hour being 3:30 in the UK. It's 10:30 here on a Friday morning in New York. Up next for us, Everton boss David Moyes will join us live.
you mentioned Perisic. They've got players in their side, Modric. You know, they're the wrong side of 35, right? These players have been in their team for a long, long time. And we're not struggling, but the first 45, I'm watching it thinking, how is this happening again?
But also, you've got to think, right? I get what you're saying, but also, there's going to be a few nerves kicking about.
Yeah.
Right? These guys, as you said there, have been around for such a long time, so they just understand, they're comfortable where they are. Modric, Perisic, these guys, they just know what it takes to get to that to get to that level. But it's I think there's a lot of boxes that Thomas Tuchel would have ticked. I thought the team selection he got wrong. But in my personal...
Who do you get wrong?
I would have started Rashford.
Yeah, me too.
And Mark Gahey has to play. He has to play.
Talk about what you're saying outside about the balance of the centre halves.
Because John Stones, he naturally plays on the right hand side, right? And it's Maguire that usually plays on the left when it was those two. When you move John Stones out to the left, naturally he doesn't go that way to Nico O'Reilly, which is why he barely touched the ball. He couldn't go that way.
And Anthony Gordon hardly received the ball in the first half.
Exactly. Mark Gahey naturally plays on the left side, so he's used to receiving the ball from the right hand side and going out to the left. But that just wasn't there, which is why we hardly saw anything down that left hand side. But yeah, I would have started Mark Gahey and I would have started Rashford for sure. They would have been my first two on the not on the team sheet, but they're the two that I would have started.
So you would have started with Rashford on the left. What about the other side? Would you have started with Noni?
Yeah, probably, because Saka, I'm not sure. I don't know how fit Saka is.
Okay. Looked good when he come on, though.
Looked really good. Looked like hungry.
Yeah.
But that's a good problem you've got. But at the end of the day, the quality shone through second half. Even though there were moments towards the end of the second half, before Rashford scored, I was thinking, oh my goodness, they're on top again. They're starting to move the ball. They're getting into their rhythm. Their substitutions made a big difference. But then Rashford comes on and just does what he does.
Yeah.
The sharp turn, the finish.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a problem that first 45 were a bit whiffy because you
look at France.
I was just about to say, look at France. I mean, they had a rocket up their backside. They're a completely different side in the second half.
Mbappe, told you about him, didn't I? I said, how often do I sit you?
Write his name down. He's going to be a player.
I told you that, Mbappe.
Yeah.
World Cups.
History back into Scotland tonight in Boston. A win against Morocco takes them into the World Cup knockouts for the first time ever. And Captain Andy Robertson says they have the best fans in the world.
They just carry themselves so well, and I think just every city they go in and every people they meet, they just fall in love with them, and that's the biggest compliment I can give them. But, you know, on Saturday they were magnificent for us in the stadium as well, and I know they'll be the same again.
Much to Jim White's dismay, though, Fabian Hurtzler's backing Morocco.
I think that they have really good togetherness in their squad. They played really good AFCON, and now I think they're ranked 7th in the FIFA world ranking list, so I think we have to take them serious, and I'm really impressed by them.
Achraf Hakimi is expected to lead out his team later. Today, French prosecutors have confirmed he will stand trial for rape for an allegation in 2023. Elsewhere, Mary Earps has signed for London City Lionesses, and England winger Emmanuel Faye-Rebozo will start for Exeter in tomorrow's Gallagher Prem final versus Northampton Saints. He's returned less than 3 weeks after jaw surgery after an injury against Leicester Tigers.
Into the final half hour for us today here in New York. If you're watching on YouTube, the Statue of Liberty, all the boats go around that constantly, each and every day. I might be on one of them this weekend, I shall see. In the meantime, let's head back to London, the Oval, the second test, England, New Zealand. Here's Sam.
Jim, a frustrating second half of the afternoon session for England. New Zealand at 86 for 2. England had the Tourists 28 for 2 in the third innings. New Zealand carrying over a first innings lead of 100 runs after England were bowled out in the morning session for 291. But this third wicket partnership has been a frustrating one for England. Rachin Ravindra's got 31 runs to his name. Henry Nicholls has got 35 runs to his name. The partnership now worth 58 runs. There was a big chance for England when Rachin Ravindra had 7 driving driving at a wide ball, edging behind, dropped by James Rew behind the stumps, and he's settling in nicely, and these two are piling on the runs for New Zealand. The tourists, as we approach tee on day 3, are 86 for 2. That's for the lead of exactly 186 runs.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. The focus of our attention today, another match day, of course, at these World Cup finals, very much on Scotland's second game, and they are up against Morocco. Morocco, who looked more than decent against Brazil in their opening game. And tonight's match, Scotland-Morocco, is live on talkSPORT. Wonder what Everton boss David Moyes thinks ahead of this. Let's ask him. David joins us live on the show this lunchtime back in the UK, of course, mid-morning here in New York. David, hi to you, my friend. How do you reflect back on that performance against Haiti?
Job well done, and hi boys, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. I think it was a really good job done. I think it was a game which probably we were all expected to win, and we went about the job in the right way. I don't think the performance was the best, but we've got to a stage now where I don't think the performances are probably the things which Scotland fans are looking for. I think they're more looking for the results, and that's what we got.
So, I mean, it was all about the result in that opening game, David.
Absolutely, and look, Jim, it might be even tonight's game as well. You know, it might just be all about the result because of. I think the big thing for us is can we qualify and get through the group stages, which has really been the thing we've been trying to do for so many years. I think we've given ourselves a good chance now, I really do.
Moisey, was it a missed opportunity? Because it may prove, I know we can always find the negative in things, but was it a missed opportunity with goals? Because it might find itself into the situation where goal difference, if you're finishing third and you need to get out of the group by some degree of methodology, given that only 8 of the 12 teams that come in third can come through, is it not a slight concern that they didn't take advantage of the opposition? And also, perhaps the way Shankland played, it looked like he was being bullied by a Haitian centre-half throughout the duration of the game until he got hooked off.
Simon, I don't disagree with any of that, but I think when you actually overlook the performance wasn't good enough to win by 3 or 4 goals and give us those goals which would be required probably to get us that slot if we need to do so. I think in the end, getting the 3 points, which you heard, took a lot of pressure off Scotland in many ways. But I don't think anybody would have come away saying that they thought the performance was terrific. I think the big takeaway from it was the result. And I agree a little bit with Shankland. I think Shankland has done really well, and I think that if Scotland, if there's anybody who I would hope the ball would land in the box, it would be Shankland probably more than any of the other strikers. So from that point of view, Steve played the 2 centre forwards at the time, got the result, but obviously, as you're right what you're saying, Simon, if we could have got 3 goals of that, then it would have been a much better outcome, but it wasn't to be.
David, what are Scotland facing tonight? What do we face in Morocco?
Look, a really good side. Look, the ones who everybody will have watched the African nations just in January time, and Senegal beat them in the final. But I think when you look back, you'd always probably say that Morocco looked a better side and probably should have been winners of the competition. I think Morocco have grown over the years. I think the level of players, I think the players they've got playing throughout Europe show you exactly what they've got. I don't think Scotland will be miles off it tonight. But if you were saying we're certainly underdogs, and even Steve's saying that as well. And again, I actually agree. I think that Scotland coming into the game as underdogs might be quite important, really, because then the pressure's off us a little bit not to expect so much possession, not to expect quite so much of the ball. It's if we can now defend our box well enough and try and sort of build on those moments in the game which might get us a chance to score.
If you're looking at the 2 games, I know it sounds almost ridiculous to make this observation given that one of them is Brazil. If you were picking the 2 games, which in your mind's eye would you suggest there's a possibility that Scotland might get something out of, either the game against Morocco or the game against Brazil?
Mm-hmm. I wish I could be as clear with you, Simon, but the big thing I would say is I think the first game is always the most important one, so you have to try and do something tonight. If Scotland can take a point tonight from the game, it would be a great result, even though we might start saying it's not enough, or it might not be. Brazil and Miami, I think, will be a different situation. I think that conditions will be much tougher for them. Maybe not much tougher than being up in Boston, but I believe that. maybe Brazil will have qualified by then. You'd expect them to beat Haiti. So who knows? But look, you can only take the first game as it comes, and hopefully Scotland can set out to win. But if we come away with a draw, I think we'll be more than happy.
David, on England, how different tactically is Tuchel's England to Gareth Southgate's?
Good question. I don't think much. I mean, I'm actually looking at it from a manager's point of view and looking to see that I think there's a lot of tactical things going on in the Premier League and lots of fine detail. I've watched a lot of the games, not them all. But everybody, it's difficult to watch all the games the way the World Cup's panning out. But I'm not seeing huge tactical implications in what the managers are putting out there. I don't think Thomas Tuchel's really done that in his game he's done. But behind it all, I'm impressed by how Thomas has gone about it. I really am. And, even the players playing a game against Kansas City, the boys who haven't played, I think it's a great idea what he's doing. He's keeping the other boys at the same level, or trying to keep them as close to the same level. The other thing I have to say is, great that the players are accepting playing against selected for England, but yet going to turn out against I'm not calling it the local side, but the teams in the city. So I think there's a lot what Thomas is doing is good, but obviously what we'll all judge on, if you're English, will probably be the outcome. And Gareth Southgate, to be honest, is taking the team to semi-finals and finals and on different competitions.
But I mean, I take the point that let's not dig deep into the tactical differences, but there is a difference in the manner in which England approached the second half. I don't recall, with all due respect, that an England team being as aggressive and as front foot as they were in the second half against Croatia. I know you take the opposition into consideration, but there was something different, David, about them. They were far more forward thinking than I've seen them under Southgate. Do you not accept that?
Yes, in some ways I think so, but I think we've got to watch. It's one game. You're 2-2 at half time. Probably England were disappointed to have lost 2 goals in the first half, and they'd got themselves in front, and I wasn't quite sure if Croatia would have enough to get back in it. They did do, but
But at 3-2, Moisey, we're not trying to save the game. We're throwing on offensive players.
Yeah, of course. No. I get that, and I don't for a minute think that they were. I think England's ability to change the team, the players they had on the bench, how many players they could have changed. They've suddenly got 7 or 8 players on there who could easily come in and be no worse than the starters they put out. So I definitely think that England have got an awful lot going for them at the moment. And do I think the manager made a difference? Yeah, I'm sure. But the manager's job is to make a difference at half time if he can. And Thomas Tuchel done that. That's part of your role as a manager. That every manager who's not getting the result they want at half time is always trying to change it, make things better if you can. Whether that be a real good motivational team talk, or whether it be the hairdryer treatment, or whatever it needs. Thomas got the best out of it, and they went on to win the game quite comfortably.
Anything changed in your mind? I mean, obviously we've got a perception. I think Tuchel was brought in to do better. Obviously, that's the reason why you brought Tuchel in. Anything changed in your view of England based upon the performance against Croatia? A lot's been made. We were told that Croatia were a dad's army. They weren't. Their average age was a year older than our team. I mean, the England team, not your team, obviously. Anything changed in your view of what England looked like and what might they look like going through this tournament?
Yeah, I think Thomas's the way he selected his squad in the first place for me was interesting. It wouldn't have been what I'm not sure the general public would have always said with the right ones, and maybe even the punditry who were doing it questioned it. And I even thought the other night there, Gay not being selected as a starter, I think would probably been a huge surprise to a lot of people. There was a big debate about Rodgers or Bellingham was going on. Saka, maybe it's injury why he didn't start. But I think he's seeing things and he's coming along, and I think he's working out that this is probably the best part of nearly a 6-week competition. I think it is now, maybe longer, and he's going to have to find a way of making sure that the players are all fresh and ready for the games. And I thought he'd done that. I thought his team selection was really good. A bit surprising maybe to some people like John Stones, who's not played an awful lot but is an exceptional player, and Thomas likes him a lot. And he played the players who he really believed in, so I like the way he's gone about it.
So, David, back home, we now know the Premier League fixtures are out this morning. You guys, Everton, a home game against Crystal Palace. That kicks it off for you. What are the aims for the campaign?
Well, obviously, to try and do better than we've done last year. We certainly done better last year than we had the previous seasons. But ultimately, you know, you're always trying to progress. I don't know if a club like Everton now we can make big, huge strides, but we see how well the likes of Bournemouth and Brentford are doing. So there's no reason why we all shouldn't have those ambitions to try and at least match those clubs and how they go about it. But I would have to say that, you know, at Everton we're trying to be back up with the top end of the teams that we can. And for long periods of last season we just didn't quite have enough in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season.
We'll be honest before we know it, right?
Oh, by the way, the madness is about to begin very shortly, you know, and so we've got to enjoy this little bit of time off when we get it. So, but it'll be the same for everybody.
David, thank you so much. Come on, Scotland. Let's see what they can do, David.
Yes, hope so.
Okay, David Moyes with us live on the show this lunchtime. Everton going against Simon's Crystal Palace on day one. It will be honest before we know it, Simon.
Absolutely.
You know,
time waits for no man, does it?
Absolutely. Certainly won't wait for us as we're in the home straight today here in New York.
We were just chatting off air about Terry Venables and Euro 96. You're getting Euro 96 vibes already.
Well, I'm getting England-Holland Euro 96 vibes, 100%, you know, because, you know, I was very fortunate enough to know Terry, as I'm sure you two did. And, you know, I asked him about that game. We used to do a show together on Saturdays on the radio about football. And, you know, he said, I just threw 7 forwards on. Everybody could play in attack. Even the sort of back four were very sort of front-footed thinking. And he said, you know, don't worry about how many goals they're going to score. Just score more goals than them. And then you have them on the back foot and they can't get out of their own half anyway. Yeah. And you were there for England-Holland at Wembley Stadium. I was there when the scoreboard said England 4, Holland 0. I mean, they did score a goal, but we did see 4-0 for a while. And last night was very, very reminiscent of that. You know, and they talk about total football. That was as close as we got. And, you know, I'm fascinated by managers and what they say and what makes the difference between an Alex Ferguson and an Arsene Wenger and a Thomas Tuchel compared to the others. Ancelotti, I know you're a big fan of and he's been on the show. Yeah. And it's great, isn't it, what Harry... Because Harry... The thing about Tuchel is he's just saying what he thinks, even right before the game. You know, he's saying, well, we're going to do this because they're going to do that. And if they're watching, they know what he's going to do. But he's so organised in a way that's sort of, you know, quite off-putting for the opposition, I would imagine. And then Harry Kane does a Thomas Tuchel after the match because he tells you exactly what Tuchel told them at half time, which was basically, lads, I thought we had a deal here. You're gonna play like you don't care, like you're back in the playground, you know. And in the first half, you didn't do that, boys. You know, we had an agreement. Can we just go out and do that? And they all went, oh yeah, we remember. And they just went out, and it was just a different game. And I was, as you can hear, I was very excited about it. We all were very excited about it. And this morning, there's this whole sense of relief and release, and now we're looking for
Of course, we have a very close eye on the football today. Scotland-Morocco, of course, very much in our thoughts. Later on today, it's live on talkSPORT. But the US Open Golf is also well underway, and Gabby Partington can bring us up to date. Gabby.
It certainly is. Here on Long Island, 18 players are under par, but Wyndham Clark's lead has been trimmed after his first bogey of the day just before the turn. Now 5 under, 2 clear at the very top. John Rahm's run of 20 holes without dropping a shot has also come to an end at the 4th. The Spaniard has since dropped shots on 6 and 7 as well. Remarkably, though, when the US Open was last held at Shinnecock Hills in 2018, not a single bogey-free round was recorded across 446 rounds. Astonishing stuff. So Rahm back to level par for the championship. Elsewhere, though, Justin Rose has moved to 1 under for the tournament after back-to-back birdies at 4 and 5, as does Colin Morikawa, who's having the best day of the bunch out there so far. 4 under par today with 8 to play. But still, bang at the top, as I mentioned, Wyndham Clark enters his back 9 with a 2-shot lead over fellow former champions in Dustin Johnson and Matt Fitzpatrick.
The US Open on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Get a discounted home charger from just £549.
Gabby, thank you very much indeed. In the meantime, it's time for this.
Football Form Roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. The world's gone football. Get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Yeah, we're going to catch up in the odds thanks to Sky Bet. We're joined by Ross Williams from Sky Bet, and we're going to look at today's football and discuss the odds round and about it. Ross, obviously, we absolutely must start with Scotland-Morocco. What are you thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, Jim. Cusp of history, isn't it? Cusp of history for Scotland. Yeah, if they can get a result tonight, what a story that would be. We make Scotland 9-2 to beat Morocco tonight. Obviously, it's going to be a very, very tough ask. I can only imagine what the party would be like in Boston this evening if that would be the case. We make it 13-5 for the draw as well, and obviously that point could prove vital if Scotland could get over the line there. John McGinn was the hero in the first game, of course. He's 13-2 to score any time and double his tally for the tournament. And on the back of David Moyes' comments just now, we make Lawrence Shankland most likely to score for the Scots. He's 4-1 to get a goal with Sky Bet. Che Adams just outside at 9-2.
I think, Simon, did I hear you say in the break you expect Scotland to get something?
I don't expect them to get something. I think they can get something. Despite the fact that we were all very impressed with Morocco, I didn't think they had quite the cutting edge that their domination of certain aspects of the game detailed. And I think Scotland are going to make it very difficult for them. I think Moroccans are going to have to beat Scotland. They're not going to roll over, irrespective of all the to and fro between you and I. So I just got I mean, I'll probably be completely wrong. You'll probably get battered. So I can't lose either which way, because if you do get battered, I'll be delighted. And if I'm right in the fact that I can get something out of it, then I'll be right there too.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. You're going so well. What's been your general perception then, Ross, from a Sky Bet point of view?
Yeah, I'll do a little bit of a whistle-stop tour at the moment. Obviously with the qualifying mix-up at the moment, obviously Mexico locked in, Canada and Switzerland pretty much there as well, based on last night's performances. I mean, going in tonight, Scotland very much primed. We have them 2-9 to be playing in the round of 32. The Scots, I mean, we've got England incredibly short at the moment, 1-20 to win Group L now after what happened against Croatia the other night. There is a couple of interesting ones at this stage. Portugal, they're bigger than even money at the moment. They're 5-4 to win their group now after faltering against Congo, and I could kind of see an opening there. Cape Verde as well have obviously given Group H a little bit of interest after last week's result. They're obviously a neutral's favourite at this point. They're evens to qualify at this stage, while Spain are 2-7 around about to end up winning that group, regardless of that draw last week. Obviously, not the biggest price in the world, but it's a fair bit bigger than it was earlier in the week.
Okay, do you want to finish on USA, Australia?
Yeah, an interesting one this evening. Obviously, two sides that'll take a lot of confidence from their opening games, I think. USA, we've got them 4-7 on to make that home advantage count, obviously, this evening. We've got Australia 15-4 outsiders. And the USA, they started really strong. They started really quickly against Paraguay. Obviously, they scored 3 goals inside the first half. We're even money for the USA to get a goal inside the first 45 minutes this evening.
Okay, that was a look at the latest odds with Ross, thanks to Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Football Form Roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. Download the Sky Bet app and get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Simon, we're done. You're heading on out, are you not?
I am.
To catch up with some pals?
Yes, up to Rhode Island, have some fun up there.
Okay.
Get out of the city.
I will see you when you get back down here. And remember, everybody, be sure to tune in when we're back next week from 1 o'clock. That's our time, of course, in the UK. The likes of England and Chelsea legend John Terry, top boxing promoter Eddie Hearn will be right here in the studio in New York. Up next, it's Jeff Selling and Jason Cundy with World Cup Drive before 3 live commentaries coming your way. Group D, USA against Australia, that's at 8. And remember, a win for either of those nations will see them qualify for the knockouts. Likewise, Scotland, 3 points against Morocco in Group C tonight at 11 o'clock will see them reach the round of 32. Fingers crossed, of course. And Brazil against Haiti at 1:30 in the morning UK time. From us here in New York, we're having a blast. That's it for now.